This series is intended for mature audiences. We insist you heed the following content warnings before viewing. Horror themes, language, adult themes, and strong violence and gore, including gun violence. Welcome to the Weird West. Let us tell y'all a story.
Our scene opens with Jesse, Reverend Bill, and Katrina. You are riding up to this tiny town on horseback, heading towards the saloon with Katrina leading the way. As you're riding up, is there any sort of conversation the three of you would have been having, or are you kind of just riding up in silence at this point?
I don't think the Reverend's spoken.
Katrina hasn't either.
All right. Just the sound of the horse's hooves hitting the dirt as you continue on. You are entering the town and you see the sheriff kind of standing off to the side. A delivery boy seems to be handing him some sort of note or some papers of some sort. Your attention moves forward to the three figures that are currently limping out of the wide open hospital doorway. Katrina, you are surprised to see Rosalind holding Lavinia and Maisie up with their arms over her shoulders. Their dresses are covered in blood. And ladies, you see Katrina riding up with two gentlemen at her side. If you want to take this time, everyone, to describe yourselves, see what the other group is seeing as you're meeting up. We can go ahead and start with the ladies as we're setting this scene. So who wants to go first?
Okay. So Rosalind, she's shorter than the other two, so they're having to put their arms around her shoulders. She's got dark curly auburn hair, and she's wearing, she's not nearly as bloody on her dress, but she's got, a corset and a dress, nice but not super fancy. She seems to be kind of on the thinner side of things, but still very pretty but young.
Maisie is, wearing similar attire. The dress, the corset, her long red hair is matted in some places from blood and kind of a mess, and the bottom of her dress, kind of near her knee and thigh area, is torn a bit and just covered in blood. All sorts of different shades, from fresher to having dried and turned that brown color. And she doesn't look happy, not one bit.
Lavinia is standing there, also arm over the other shoulder, looking slightly less unhappy than her, sort of smugly satisfied with herself and trying to look like she's not leaning to walk, but definitely is. Her skirt's a little darker, so it's harder to see some of the blood that's there, but it's definitely there. Dark hair pulled high and tight, big long ponytail behind her.
Right,
Katrina,
and yeah, on horseback, the three of you see Katrina, and the other two you don't recognize. But yeah, if you want to go ahead, Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina at this time she's, of course, sat on the horse. She's wearing her riding attire, so it's a little bit, it's definitely not working attire, if you know what I mean. So long black leather duster. She's got her blonde hair braided in the back just to keep from out of her face while she's riding. She's got her dark brown hat pulled low. But seeing y'all, of course, she would angle it up to get a good look at her girls. She's she's young, but her eyes are clearly at this point her blue eyes are worn with a little bit of age after the events of what she had just seen. She's wearing riding brown riding pants and boots and yeehaw attire generally, but but she's coming up on horse and with the Reverend and Jesse by her side, and utters the first words that she said since the events of the prior night. What in the goddamn shit has happened to y'all?
You ever hear of the horseshoe killer? Because we sure have.
Before we dive into that, Jesse, you want to go ahead and describe yourself?
Yeah, so riding alongside Katrina on a pretty good-looking horse that he has is a very young-looking, probably around an 18-year-old boy who is slight, very, very slight, but athletic-looking. He has a very, very young face. He just sort of looks at the three of these three women that are obviously hurt, and turns to Katrina and says, these people are these the girls that we're here for? Or he's got a 6-shooter on his side. He's got a Bowie knife strapped to the other leg, and he's got a sawed-off shotgun sling across his back.
Reverend.
And sitting on her other side, astride a black mare horse as well. He is the first thing you would notice about him is the Reverend's collar. Obviously, would stand out amongst everything else. The second thing you would notice, in contradiction to that, is a gun belt around his waist. A big burly man, just over 6 feet tall, around 280. Looks like he's a little older, between 40s and 50s. Long sandy brown hair with gray starting to show through, tied back in a ponytail, and it's usually hidden under a large brimmed Undertaker style hat. A little thick around the midsection, white button down Reverend vestments and a duster, and then dark black snakeskin boots.
All right, so the three of them approach. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, and he looks over at Katrina when she spouts that string of blasphemy next to him. Really, dear, do you have to every time?
Listen, things have changed since I left town.
I get it. Just try a little.
For you, fine.
Thank you.
50% fewer curses.
I'll take it.
All right, you ride up to where the three of them are standing basically in the middle of this thoroughfare, and you're approaching, and the 6 of you are just looking at each other.
So anyway, back to the horseshoe killer, Katrina, because rumor has it he was here for you.
And there was someone else here who said they was you, but they weren't you. Obviously.
Oh, she was definitely not you.
What have you gotten yourself into?
Us or her?
Well,
Yes.
see,
Or you can say anything else. The sheriff is approaching now. He comes up and he has a few papers in his hands. He steps over, he looks at the three of you, and then he looks up at Katrina on the horse, and he just holds up a wanted poster of the Highwomen. Shows 4 women drawn, and he has his gun pulled in one hand, and he says, "The way I see this going down is you can come with me quietly, or you can just get the hell out of my town. I don't really care either way. But you have 10 seconds to decide."
Oh, you see, that's not me. My boobs are bigger.
1,
I snort laugh at that.
2,
I mean,
3.
Ladies, let's go see about what this is, and we can figure out the pieces
4.
afterward.
Rosalind's going to start trying to walk Lavinia and Maisie like away from the sheriff.
5.
I start following her and trying to use her as support as little as possible so I can still look like I'm walking myself.
Obviously, we have members of the party that are injured. Can we take a little bit of humanity and let them recover before you decide to spout off with some bullshit?
7.
You know, I mean, leaving sounds pretty good to me.
I wouldn't mind getting out of here. It's not exactly.
Fine. Hop on my horse. Let's just get on the horses. Let's go.
Oh, bold of you to assume I can hop on a horse.
I'll reach down and help her up.
Yeah,
I was just about to say Jesse helps one of the injured onto his horse as well.
All right, the injured are pulled up on the horse. Once you agree to leave, he does stop counting out loud, but you see him and the deputy both have their guns out to make sure you're actually leaving. And
with my hand on the butt of mine, I look down. Remember, gentlemen, do unto others. Before I kick my horse and spur it on.
All right. I'm gonna give you a Benny for that.
That's good.
And
as we ride away, Maisie's just gonna yell, "Are you sad to watch me go, or is that just a revolver in your hand?"
I'll give you a Benny for that.
Oh, nice.
All right. It is not comfortable for Maisie or Lavinia. Each just jolt of the horse, even at whatever pace you're going, your legs just, oh man, you can feel your heartbeat at this point. Any of the pain medication given to you is wearing off, and while you're properly stitched and bandaged, it's sore and it hurts. And eventually you ride off far enough for the town to disappear behind you. You're muted if you were speaking.
You don't happen to have any drink on you right now, do you? I ask Jesse whose horse I would be on.
I over my shoulder, I say, liquor's never touched my lips. I apologize. Maybe some of the Katrina or the Reverend might, but I tend to keep my soul clean and as well as my my faculties.
He's a peach, isn't he?
Reverend, can you go a little bit easier with this horse? I thought you were supposed to be the gentle type anyway.
I'll do my best, Miss Maisie, and I'll try to rear back just to soften the ride a bit.
Thank you, because this hurts like hell.
I don't understand why people say that. I don't think you fully grasp what hell's gonna feel like.
I don't think you fully grasp how much my leg hurts.
That is a fair assumption.
Mm.
Realizing my riding companion doesn't have any booze to ease the pain, I'm going to lean off to the side to every other horse near us and go, "Who has drink?"
I'm afraid I left all my sacrificial wine back at the at my church there. I got some water.
That doesn't kill pain, my friend.
Can you turn it into wine, or are you not as good as that other guy?
I am
Another snort laugh.
I am but a pale comparison, I'm afraid. But I live like to be like him every day.
Gotcha.
Y'all, what happened? I don't. Can we start from the beginning?
Maybe this is this starting to get darker or anything like that about this time?
No, it's probably we'll say with you heading out of town for a little while, it's probably late afternoon.
Maybe this is a good spot to stop and just rest for a minute and discuss what has transpired between us.
Sounds like a good plan.
All right, so you hop off your horses.
I'll help Miss Maisie down.
And I will help Lavinia.
Okay. Just kind of setting up a little rest area. All right.
I will offer Lavinia some of my water, and I apologize that it's not drink, but it'll keep her spirits up.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Apologize, ladies. I finished my drink last night after what we ran across. So
Whatever it was we saw.
No drink and run out of town, and you saw something crazy. This is a great way to travel.
Well, I mean, how many towns is it we've been run out of today? At least 2.
Oh, well, I only have 1 on my record for today.
Proud of you.
But it sure does sound like we've got a lot to talk about.
Well, why don't we start with this horseshoe killer?
Yeah, he came to collect one of Katrina's debts, allegedly, and in the process, I damn near lost my leg.
He was very rude. So we responded in kind.
Yeah,
I mean,
I threw
but-
a knife at his throat. It was pretty satisfying.
I mean, y'all did start shooting at him first in the saloon.
He threatened us first.
That's true. But
Precisely.
he ran off once he shot them, and then I took them to the doctor, who turns out was actually working with him, not willingly, but was working with him. And then the doctor got shot, and it was not a good. They drugged it. The doctor drugged them both, so they were unconscious for most of that. And then another Katrina came, saying that she was Katrina, and he seemed to accept that, think that she was Katrina, but she seemed to know us too. I didn't recognize her at all, though.
She was hot.
I do love a hot girl. That is true. But you know me, I don't leave open debts. He must have been after that other Katrina or something. I have no idea. But actually, Carrie, would I know of another person that's impersonating me?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
Great, love that. Awesome.
While they're talking, I'd like to go around and check their wounds and sort of see if I can do anything to tend to them to make it a little easier on them with my healing.
Okay. I'll say, without even having to roll, they were properly cared for. They, even taking off the bandages, you see these wounds were properly cleaned, properly stitched. You do see Maisie's is far worse than Lavinia's. It hit the actual kneecap. There's
okay.
a lot. There's a chance that when that heals, she still won't be able to use her leg. But the wounds have been properly bandaged, so you can take a little while to rebandage them if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Okay.
Awfully handsy after you just met me.
I'm just trying to do what's right for other people. That's all.
There are fewer, more stalwart gentlemen than our young Mr. Jesse here.
Speaking
I
speaking
believe
of
it.
which, Katrina, how did you weren't with them when you left town?
I mean, no, I wasn't, but basically last year, the reason why I hit the road in the first place was because I found that my best friend had been murdered. Her heart had torn out of her body. The Reverend here is my best friend's my best friend's father. Sorry, not husband. We were contacted to come back to town and see if maybe we knew what was going on or figuring out exactly. There was another string of murders that looked like the one that killed her. So
You seem pretty shook up. That's not exactly like you, Katrina, so what exactly did you see?
I'm not sure you would believe her if she told you.
Oh, I have been traveling all over for longer than you would believe. There's not much I haven't seen.
would you believe a Wendigo?
Yeah.
I didn't. Until I saw it.
What about it was so awful?
What was it?
I mean,
I'll pull up my shirt and show her where I got clawed.
mm-hmm.
With Maisie's guts edge, she's not really deterred by any of this.
Yeah, she's seen some shit.
I'm just kind of uncharacteristically silent, and I take a big swig of the water, forgetting that it's only water.
You still make the sound as if the alcohol is burning in your throat.
Oh yeah.
Maisie will nod. It sounds like you were pretty fortunate to make it out of there.
Well, we almost didn't. I mean, we had to chase that thing into the forest, and we had to, we had to hole up in an abandoned cabin, and there was a family that was killed, and we're very lucky to make it here today. I'm very, very pleased that I could see y'all's faces one more time.
That sounds like there's an expiration date coming up here pretty soon.
Did you kill it?
Killed it.
Yeah, we killed it.
It was Jesse that killed it, right?
Yeah.
Good on you, youngin'. Damn. She's not that much older than him.
I scoot a little bit closer to Jesse.
Jesse blushes, and he doesn't know quite what to say.
Yeah, Jesse proved his manhood or whatever. But
What is manhood? Who cares? Did you have any other friends with you that didn't make it out?
No, it was just us.
Others were killed, though. Plenty others.
Do you know why you saw it? Was there any events that correlated or led to it showing up?
Only the events from the year before, when we were brought out to the edge of the woods.
Well, now that sounds like a story you could elaborate on.
Yeah, some of us weren't there and don't know what happened at the edge of the woods.
I was brought out to identify my friend.
My
Katrina was
daughter.
there. Yeah, the Reverend was with us. And then a year later, we were brought to the cabin, and it looked a heck of a lot similar to the previous year.
Mhm.
And then they asked us to figure out what it was.
So is this like a book closed kind of situation, or?
I mean, I'm nervous. Wendigos are not supposed to be traveling this far south. They usually stay up near, Canada, Canada, whatever. I don't know. But they're not supposed to be down here. But there's some guy that has been hunting them, supposedly. Especially since they've been migrating this far south.
Did both this off topic sort of did both of this horseshoe killer and other Miss Katrina get dealt with?
Oh, well, the horseshoe killer, even in my half, sedated state, I threw a knife right into his throat.
Not before I shot him a couple of times, and then you shot him a couple of times. He was
That
in bad.
too, yeah.
We took care of it.
Now the other Miss Katrina saved our asses, because turns out she had what he wanted. She also kind of poisoned him and paralyzed him a little bit. And I need to reiterate, she was beautiful. So, we kind of let her leave.
Not like y'all were in a position to really stop her, but I mean,
That doesn't explain you though, Rosalind.
what about me?
Just always sitting there.
We're unconscious.
Well, I'm just saying.
What was I supposed to do? It was him against me. He blew a hole in the doctor's stomach with a shotgun right in front of me. And I mean, and then
You did the only sensible thing.
I did.
Someone like that would have hesitated to kill you too.
Well, he thought we had something that we didn't have. I did let Maisie keep her knife, so she was able to finish them off. I was supposed to take all their weapons.
True. All right. I'm sorry.
I'm just not...
I'm just a little grumpy. I might be down a leg,
At least the doctor tried to do that much.
The doctor was a good man, despite it all.
I don't think he had much of a choice.
No. But that other Katrina is out and about, and she looked familiar, like some posters we've seen about railroads or some shit, but not really 100% sure.
Same posters that sheriff showed to you?
No, positive ones, not wanted posters.
Like the big railroads, I think going to Kansas City, wasn't it?
Shit if I know.
So where do we aim to return to? Are we going back where we came from, or are you moving on to another town? What's the deal?
At that note, we're gonna take one moment. Jesse, you're sitting here listening to everything, just in silence. You're pretty quiet, just listening, and your mind is just buzzing with everything that has happened in these last couple of days, the last year even. And for a moment, we're gonna sort of flash back to yesterday. Just before you left town. You stand in the mayor's office, and it's just you and him. He had sent Katrina and Reverend Bill to go get patched up at the hospital, and he sets the whiskey bottle on the desk and knows you won't drink it, but slides you a shot glass as he downs his own. He slams the bottom up on the table as he finishes it. He takes a breath and he looks you in the eyes and he says, "What you're telling me, son, can't possibly be true. It can't."
I say, Mayor, you can ask anybody in this town. I'm not a liar. They'll all vouch for me. They were holed up in the church with the Reverend. It's true.
Misunderstand me. I don't mean to say you've been lying to me. I mean to say you don't know the lies you're saying. Because they ain't your lies. You claim that man helped you out in those woods. You claim that's Jack Fiddler. And I'm telling you that can't be true because Jack Fiddler's been dead for over 20 years. And that ain't even the worst part of it. The man you described to me, and at this point he walks over to an open desk, pulls out some papers. The man you described to me is this man, and he slides the paper to you across the desk. It's a wanted poster, and your eyes fall on it. You read the name. You look back up at the sheriff, and he takes out another 2 shot glasses, even though you haven't even finished your first. Pours another one. Wanted on a few serious charges, maybe more. Well, if he said he's heading east, I'm inclined to send you east. Maybe you'll run into him. Maybe he's sure he's fooled you, and maybe you can show some justice and bring him in.
Well, if that's what the mayor wants me to do, I guess it's my duty to go ahead and saddle up and head on out. And, yeah, okay.
All right, he says, just be careful, Jesse. It ain't right out there.
I wanted to say this earlier. It's decided at the end of the last episode when I was given the badge,
Mm-hmm.
he has not worn it yet.
Okay.
He has not put it on as a choice.
Yeah. And at this point, the mayor says, if there's one lesson I've learned in this world, especially out there, don't be a hero. The world ain't meant for that.
I'll make sure to be smart and not a hero.
Do what you gotta do, get back here alive, and you're well on your way to wearing that sheriff's badge.
Okay.
And then he says, one for the road. And he clinks his shot glass against your sitting on the table and and now we come back to present time. I believe Reverend just asked kind of what the plan is.
Well, I mean, I don't see any sense in running after fake Katrina. The hell does that matter right now compared to the horrors you've described?
At this point, I will say, well, I was told by the mayor to head east. I'm heading that way.
Miss Jessie? I'd like to accompany you if that's all right.
I'd be glad to have you, Bill.
What you heading east for?
Looking for someone?
Someone good or someone bad?
I don't tell them whether or not they're good or bad. I just bring them in and let the law do the law.
So you're like a bounty hunter?
For now, I guess I am. We'll see what happens later on.
So are we all to join you, or are we off somewhere else? And I kind of looked at Katrina.
Oh, I don't like to leave unfinished business behind me. And I mean, I feel like right now, ladies, we need all the help we can get. If you wouldn't mind, Jesse, Reverend, do you mind if we join you?
I promise we're lots of fun.
Oh yes, fun is what we specialize in.
Jesse chuckles a little bit and he says, Katrina, you've already proved your worth to me. I'll be glad to have you and your friends.
They're my girls. I just regret that I'm the leader of this pack and I'm the one that's the most intact right now.
There's always more room in the flock, and who knows, maybe you can learn a thing or two about leading them in a better direction.
Okay.
Some of us enjoy our directions currently, Reverend.
I mean, if you think that's what's best, Katrina, I guess my only question is apparently we have wanted posters. And so I guess my question to you, Mr. Jesse, is if you are bringing people into the law, would that one day be us going to the law with you?
Oh, bold of you to assume we'd let him.
It's an honest question. I was just wondering if you would attempt that even.
Might I
I'd let him
offer
take me in anytime.
Might I offer an alternative perspective?
Absolutely.
Perhaps at the end of this, should you prove yourself useful to Mr. Jesse, then maybe there can be some forgiveness for things that you've done in your past. It certainly can't hurt to have a lawman and a reverend in your corner.
And I just pray about that and it'd be the same thing.
I also am not opposed to converting a good boy to be a bad boy.
I just know I'm very useful.
The poster that I just saw in the flashback, it's the same person that was that we met after the confrontation.
Without a doubt.
The man I'm hunting is the same man that we saw the night of the Wendigo.
I'm gonna need a little bit more detail. What man and why is he connected to that night?
The mayor showed me a wanted sign. A wanted sign that had the same exact face, the same exact markings as Jack. Now, I hear that there was another person claiming to be Katrina. If people are claiming to be other people, I'm not sure we met Jack. The mayor has tasked me to bring this guy in.
But you're saying that Jack and the Jack on the wanted poster look the same, right? This
Right.
Katrina did not look like Katrina.
Anyway, I have to bring this guy in. If you guys want to help me, I'll be glad to have you.
And if we help you, are you willing to help us with our situation?
Jesse's struggling a little bit because of his code of conduct. He always does the right thing according to the letter. So he is very struggling with an answer right now. He pauses a couple of minutes, thinks about it, and then he says,
the Reverend speaks up and says, "We'll definitely put in a word for you."
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that word's gonna be good.
and then he said, I go across the way and I say, I can only control my own actions. I will put in my word for you.
We'll grow on you.
Sounds like we're gonna go catch some strange man.
I mean, that's what we're good at, right?
Oh,
I mean, I really am tired of strange men, though.
but we are good at tying them up.
I enjoy the stabbing, personally.
Well,
I don't think this
Lord
is
help
helping
us
with.
all. Okay.
but Jesse,
gonna-
I just want to remind you real quick, Jesse. What is right necessarily isn't what is lawful. There's a lot of stuff out there right now that's lawful that isn't right. Just bear that in mind.
Will do, Katrina. Will do.
Well, it's settled then. I, for one, am very excited.
I mean, the Highwomen ride again. Plus some high men, I guess.
I mean, I don't think I'm really riding as much as I am clinging, but yeah.
We do what we can given certain circumstances, but again, I'm just glad to come back and y'all are at least breathing.
We're glad you're back before we stopped breathing.
Glad that you're back breathing.
Yeah.
And you have brought us 2 new breathing friends.
Mm-hmm. So, we going after this Jack fella?
Can find him.
Any idea of his whereabouts out east? Did we ever find out that? I don't remember. I don't think he said where he was headed out east, just that he was headed east.
Yeah, he just said he was heading east. You would, while Jesse hasn't spent much time out of the town or like in the actual wilds outside, most people traveling stick to the railroad tracks or the roads because it's very dangerous to veer off. So it's safe to assume you're following the same road he would have if he is following the roads.
So, we don't really know much about this fella ourselves. Who is he and why does he matter?
If I told you his name, you would know who he is. Maybe. I don't know if he runs in your circles, but he's pretty high up.
Oh, we've got so many circles.
You know any circles that go around a rail line?
Sorta.
I reluctantly tell him the name. I'll tell him that the man on the Wanderer poster and the name that matched it was Josh Chamberlain, the owner of the Empire Rail Line.
That's who we met in the woods?
Well, in the woods, he told us his name was Jack, and that he was hunting Wendigos. On the poster, his name was Josh Chamberlain, and he was wanted for other things.
Well, that would explain why he is able to travel so quickly across. Wait, what's the easternmost? This is getting off character. What's the easternmost, like, stop on the rail line that
like
we know of?
The biggest stop
Yeah.
would be St. Louis.
And that's the one that's most east?
The one that's most east that has anything to do with the Empire Rail, at least.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like,
Also, out of character, is that the same train line that had to do with the posters with the fake Katrina? Because I don't remember.
She did say to meet her out in St. Louis.
She did not mention a rail line.
Okay, but we had noticed the poster, or we recognized her from the posters. Was that with the Empire Rail Line posters?
Can't recall. You're not sure.
Okay.
Now, that is mighty interesting because fake Katrina told us to meet her in St. Louis.
oh.
Is the Empire Rail Line the only one that goes to St. Louis?
Here, let me send you all a map. So the Empire Rail Line is the blue that stops like just before Kansas City. Well, from Topeka to Lawrence is owned by Empire, and then from Lawrence to Kansas City, that's not purchased yet, so it's not owned by anyone. And then from Kansas City to St. Louis,
Okay.
most people consider it Empire Rail Lines, but it's not legally theirs.
Sounds like St. Louis might be our best bet.
Seems to be a main lead we have.
All right. Well, let's head over to the arches.
We going by road or rail?
I think rail would be faster, but I mean.
But it's going by rail could put us on more people's radar.
Exactly. How far is it by horse?
On horseback, let's see. I will have each of the Highwomen make a common knowledge roll just from your travels.
Okay, great.
First roll of the day, and we're like over an hour. We're like an hour in. Woo.
Katrina's just so shooken up by all of this that's going on, and she's just so glad the girls are good that she can't remember horseback stuff right now. I rolled a 1.
That's a 4.
Roll both die.
Did you roll your wild die too?
No, I didn't. Wait, the wild die is a 6, right?
Yes, a
D6,
D6.
I rolled a 1 on.
That's like a critical fail.
And since I have streetwise, that gives me a +2 to common knowledge, so I rolled a 7.
So that gives me a 5.
Okay. What was
I'm a
Lavinia's?
4.
Cool. Okay. So you three vaguely recall, you've maybe been to St. Louis 1 or 2 times before, or at least past it. And you know of a Crossroads station. Not terribly far from here. It might take you maybe another day and a half to reach it. And then if you can reach that rail, it'll probably only take you less than another day to make it to St. Louis. And that is on horseback. If you are going to catch a train at the Crossroads station, then you would be there in a couple hours that day. But it is also easy to avoid the trains, even just following the tracks at a distance, if you prefer to stay on the down low. It's entirely up to you.
Well, the other side to that coin is that we've also lost some time too, tracking this man.
I mean, if we change up our outfits a little bit and our appearance.
I do have a disguise kit.
I mean, how high on anybody's radar could we possibly be?
I mean, they were looking for the wrong Katrina. They were looking for another, I don't know, possibly brunette Katrina. I don't know, but definitely wasn't me. So.
And, you know, she did invite us to St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Would be rude not to show up.
After all she's done.
Well, Jesse, this is your call here.
Is there a way to get us some more horses so that we're not down, tiring out the horses? I wonder.
Well, you can head back to the town that you just came from if you'd like. Or your best bet would probably be checking the railroad cross station. Maybe you could buy a horse. Maybe they have some there.
Lease to own.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we should go by horse. I don't want to get too high profile, and I want to keep on the down low as I'm searching for this guy.
I respect it. I don't know why we decided you're the leader, but I respect it. Sure, horse it is.
I'm nervous about being a leader myself, as I don't have the experience, but I appreciate the Reverend's confidence in me.
I will say I don't think I should be riding on a horse by myself. Jesse, by all means, we can share a horse.
Oh, well, my knee is still also a little bad, so...
Yeah, but I got shot right in the knee.
And the Reverend helped you up on his horse just fine.
Yeah, but you
Ladies.
could probably stand to have your own horse, you know?
Ladies, how about this? Y'all can split time with Jesse. 12 hours with Jesse for Lavinia, 12 hours with Jesse for Maisie, and then, whatever else. We don't have to argue over the fresh-faced boy.
Clearly you don't know who we are, but sure. I'll share.
Jesse
For
is
now.
just
I'm just
beat
saying, y'all
red
can pull
at this. Jesse's completely beat red at this as he's climbing up onto his he would put the lady up first and then climb on, I guess.
I'm just saying,
completely
y'all can pull different people. Y'all can do better. No, I'm joking.
We are out in the middle of nowhere right now.
That's fair.
I did just get shot. I'm a little emotional and just want to be comforted, you know?
It's
Well,
the
seeing
blood
as I was
lumps.
already on his horse before, shouldn't this be my 12 hours and then you can get him after?
But isn't it just because you were literally just on his horse that it should be my turn?
12 hours.
Yeah, but we just decided that now, post you already being...
the
Oh, so
Rev-
then I could get him even longer.
The Reverend mounts his horse and helps Miss Rosalind onto his horse and starts riding east.
All right, well, let's go ahead and make a decision now. I'll make an executive decision for you. All right, Maisie, hop on Jesse's horse. Lavinia, you're with me. Let's just go. Let's just keep on riding.
Oh, I am so grumpy about that.
Maisie is just so smug and just absolutely assholey about it, just nose in the air at Lavinia.
Oh, okay. So you mount up on your horses again and start following these tracks east. Are you staying close to the tracks, or are you kind of far enough away where you can still see them? How closely?
What do you think, Jesse?
I think we stick close enough to the tracks that we can see them and follow them, but not get too close to them, because I don't want the Highwaywomen to be seen if we're going to run into more altercations like we had at the town.
All right. Is there any certain formation here? Or are you just kind of riding like a side-by-side sort of thing?
Well, however we're riding, Maisie is clinging a little bit tighter than perhaps necessary. Especially since one of her edges is born in the saddle. So.
All right.
Seeing that, I'm definitely muttering occasionally into Katrina's ear about how it's fine. She'll get him for these 12 hours. We'll be riding for most of that anyway, and then I'll get him after.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to ride him, then you proposition him yourself. That's between you and Jesus.
Oh, but Jesus is going to have nothing to do with it.
The Reverend will ride out just a little ahead of the other two horses, just because he is prone to looking out for danger and that kind of thing. So he's keeping his head on a swivel.
Okay.
Just.
All right. So you start off. Probably only taking a break for maybe an hour or so. Set back east, and you're traveling for a few hours. It's not. You probably have an hour or two until sunset, so you still have some good time for travel. And you see the ground. It's not quite like rolling hills or anything, but there are different parts that are elevated. They drop down into different valleys. So you're at kind of different paces as you're going here. What's easier for the horses, not to wear them out too much. And you're cresting over one of the hills, about to drop down into another valley, and you see the valley probably only lasts for a couple of miles. But there is a thick fog just blanketing the entire valley. The railroad track itself disappears into the fog. You can see the other side of it as the hill comes back up on the other side. So, Reverend, you mentioned you were leading. I'll have you make a notice roll for me.
Can I do one as well since I'm on his horse?
Sure, yeah.
I got a 3 and a 2.
Got a 4.
Right, so Reverend, you're looking around, and you see the fog that you're approaching. Nothing much else. Rosalind, as you're pushing into the fog, you're looking, and it's not super thick when you're first heading into it. You can still see a good maybe 10 feet in front of you, but as you're getting further and further into this fog, you find yourself losing sight of the tracks. And if you keep going straight, you should be okay, but if you're worried about keeping sight of these tracks, you might have to get a little bit closer to them.
Is she riding in front of or behind of the Reverend?
Probably behind, unless...
It would be completely up to you. The Reverend will leave it up to you, your decision.
She would have just gone wherever he put her, so...
Probably behind then.
Okay. I think she'll kind of pull on his shirt a little bit and be like, can can you still see the tracks? Because, I mean, that I assume they're still there, but I don't see them anywhere.
The fog is a little thick here. Do we want to try to ride closer, Jesse?
I mean, if we don't want to lose the tracks, we should probably get a little bit closer.
And as you do so, you're also noticing if you're not riding super close to each other, you can't quite see the other horse either. It's getting, I mean, the fog is so thick you can hardly see 5 feet in front of you. Like you see the horse's head and maybe a couple feet past that. And you see the horses are kind of having a hard time with this too. As you're leading them over, they can't quite see where they're going, so you see them just trekking through. You know if you can just get past it, you'll be fine. So pushing through, you get a little bit closer to the tracks. You can see them now beside you. You're following almost directly beside them to keep a good view. Here I will ask, following these tracks, are we in like a single file line now at this point? All right, so we have the Reverend's horse, and then which horse is second?
Katrina's probably.
Jesse behind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so pushing through, I'm gonna have all of you make a notice roll, but you have a -4.
Oh,
Rude. Notice?
You do have bennies if you want to use any.
Wait, if I
If you roll
Ace
max,
it.
you explode. Yeah.
I explode. Okay.
Does just the D6 explode, or do both die explode?
Both of them can. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
then you'll just pick whichever one you want to go with.
So my D4 exploded twice,
So did mine.
and I got a 10 total minus the 4, 6.
Okay.
Yeah. I ended with a 7.
Okay.
My D4 exploded twice as well.
I ended with a 10. My D6 exploded twice.
And if this is a surprise test, then I get +2 to that, so it'd be 9.
Nice.
Oh, go ahead.
I got a 1. That's
I-
after -4.
Okay, gotcha.
I rolled double ones.
Do you
Oh,
want to
boy.
use a Benny or?
Yeah, can I use that after the
Sure.
fact?
Yeah.
Okay. With that's -4 to whatever we rolled.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like a -2.
Perfect. What was Rosalind's?
I got 1 after the -4.
Okay. So as you are pushing through this fog, Reverend, Jesse, and Maisie, you're keeping a pretty good. You're keeping an eye on what you can keep an eye on. You're just looking through the fog, making sure you're watching the tracks. Is there anything specific you're trying to pay attention to, the three of you?
Maisie.
Go ahead.
Maisie would be looking for any figures of humanoid or non-humanoid shape that would be watching them or following them.
Okay.
I am looking out for any movement in the fog that's not ours,
Okay.
basically.
I think Jesse would be continuing to try to keep hold of his direction, his like sense of direction and which way we're going.
Sure.
That's specifically where he would be going.
So as you're moving further into this thick fog, Reverend, your horse stops moving, kind of pushes up its head. It makes a small noise as its teeth kind of chew on the bit in its mouth. It's uneasy about something, and that stops Katrina's horse as you're coming up towards it. And as these horses are becoming uneasy and kind of whimpering, whinnying, looking around. Maisie, you see you can't make out any features. It's in the fog, but you see a humanoid figure standing in the middle of the railroad tracks. Basically like a silhouette. You can just see the outline through the fog.
It looks like there's somebody or something on the tracks up ahead. She'll say mostly to Jesse, but also raise her voice a little bit because she doesn't want the figure to think that they're unaware.
I will, seeing that pointed out to the Reverend, he will reach down to his gun belt and pull out his one revolver with his right hand and hold on to the reins with his left. And just very subtly, not like quick or anything, he's just kind of drawing it and putting it on his lap, on his leg, just to have it ready in case.
Are we drawing our guns now? Is that what we're doing?
Not yet. I'm just being careful. I'll let you know.
I just have the little Derringer. I don't really have too much.
Don't worry. I've got 2 guns, one for each of us.
Okay.
All right, and I'll just call out. Hello?
At that, you see, you assume the figure was facing away from you because at the sound of your voice, the head kind of turns and then you see the figure turn around to face you, but they haven't moved.
Something don't feel right about that.
No, it doesn't.
Can Maisie try to like intimidate the figure into showing itself? Because that is one of her skills.
What do you shout out?
Hey, if you don't show yourself, we're gonna end you before you get the chance.
All right, go ahead and make that roll.
Hallelujah. That is going to be, imagine knowing math. 8.
All right, so you say that, and at the sound of your voice calling out, this figure takes a step in your direction, takes another step.
Jesse's gonna draw his gun at this point because he knows that this thing is coming towards it, but not making any noise or anything.
I think Rosalind is holding on to the Reverend a little bit tighter at this point.
One arm on Katrina, one hand has gone down to the gun.
Yeah, Maisie will have her hand on her Colt Thunderer, and then she'll whisper to Jesse, sorry, I've got a real mouth on me, and it's beneficial in some situations, but definitely not ones like this.
No worries.
Another step.
The Reverend kind of draws himself up to his full height to kind of block Miss Rosalind off as much as possible.
Okay.
And he'll cock the hammer back and just, all right, that's about far enough. State your business.
Takes one more step, close enough for you to be able to see features just a little bit better. You see dirty, tattered clothes and dirty skin, ripped flesh, undead face. You see completely no nose, half its jaw ripped off, eyes bulging, and it just looks up at the 6 of you and takes another step, and it lunges forward. I will give the Reverend, I'll have you make a shooting roll for me, just because you were in lead here.
Ooh, I'm good at that. I am going to spin a Benny.
Sure.
You can re-roll, right? Spin a Benny to re-roll?
Yeah.
That's much better. That's a 7 on the D8.
Okay, go ahead and roll damage.
Nine damage. 1 AP on that.
Okay. As this thing lunges forward, you pull the trigger. You see the flash of the light from the gunfire in the fog, and the bullet slams into this thing's chest. You see it stumble backwards. It actually falls down to one knee for a moment and then begins to just stand back up. And at this point, we will draw some action cards.
Oh, hell no.
All right, this thing don't like the bullets, so here we go.
Kind of
Reverend.
looks like my dad.
Reverend is a 7. It's really not wanting to focus. Did you say kind of looks like my dad?
Well, I mean, the last time I saw him, yeah.
Okay. Jesse, it's a 4.
Okay.
Katrina, 5. Maisie, 7. No, I'm not a room over here. Roslyn.
I have to draw
8.
2 cards.
Oh, and you have to take the lowest.
I do.
Still an 8, not bad. And Lavinia, a 7. And then we have me.
Oh boy.
10.
Wait, can I use a Benny to?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
All right. Is anyone else wanting to use a Benny? All right, so here's Katrina's redraw.
Hell yeah, that's better. It's better than 5.
Nobody else? Okay. All right, so it looks like I am up first. So in this moment, all of you focused on this figure directly in front of you. Roslyn, you are shocked to feel 2 hands grab onto your arm from behind and pull you off of this horse. You are pulled down onto the ground, and at this point, this creature is going to attempt to make a bite attack.
Oh.
Suddenly
Knew that-
being in the rear ain't that fun.
No, not at all.
Certainly not.
All right, so it pulls you down. Its jaws, it comes down to try to bite into you. You just put your arms up onto its shoulders, and it's just snapping and snapping. It's not able to get clamp its jaws down on you. You're holding it off, but it is on top of you. You are laying down on the ground.
She is screaming bloody murder as this is going
Just
on.
starts-
No means no, sir.
No, it's no.
Just starts screaming. At this, hearing the screaming, Lavinia, you turn around and you see this. You see Rosalind pinned under this creature, and as you look up, you see about 5 or 6 more coming out of the fog from behind you. One of them reaches up, grabs onto your injured leg, and pulls you from the horse. You're pulled down, you land, unable to catch yourself from your injured leg. You land down on the ground, and it reaches down and just bites into your shoulder. What is your toughness?
Oh, toughness. 4.
Okay, all right, this is enough damage to give you 1 wound. Are you taking it, or would you like to spend a Benny to try to soak?
I'll take this one.
Okay, that'll put you at a -1 to your rolls. All right, and now the one up front that is the closest, taking that gunshot to the chest, stands up, walks over. Reverend, you're the closest one. It reaches up, and you actually, in place at the front of this saddle, have a little better of a a grip up here, and as it goes to pull you off, I'm gonna have you make a strength roll for me. You're muted.
10.
10. Holy shit. Okay.
I had a 6 on the D6 and it exploded to a 4. So
Nice. All right. So yeah, as it just clenches its claws into you, you feel just broken fingernails, just jagged, some bone just sticking into your legs to try to pull you off, but you're holding on to the saddle. It tries to bite your leg, and it bites into the snakeskin boots instead. You feel it biting into the boot, not quite able to get your leg. That is that round. You do see more getting closer now, kind of closing in on you. Next up, we have Katrina.
Yeah, so I've kind of noticed that like shooting at it doesn't work. But I do have this length of rope, this 20 yards of rope, and I want to see if I can like lasso it to restrain it so other people might have a better chance of getting at it and like maybe prevent it from snapping to other folks.
Okay. I'll say make an agility roll for that.
An agility? Oh, that's something I can do. Hopefully. Did I just fuck myself? Probably.
Statistically speaking, every time someone says that, it doesn't go very well.
Okay. I got a 10 total.
That went pretty well.
Yeah.
All right, so you pull out your rope and you toss it around this creature, successfully lassoing it. Did you want to like yank it?
Yeah, just like yank it a little bit towards us. Just be like, oh, get your nasty mitts off of my partners, y'all.
All right, so just to be clear, that was the one attacking Reverend?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you see the rope just go around this thing, yank it down. It does pull it off of its feet and it slams down onto the ground. You hear this little groan coming from it. And that is your go. You're just gonna hold on to that rope?
Yeah, just gonna hold on to it tight.
Perfect. Next up, we have Rosalind.
She's going to try to get away from this thing, like
Okay.
try to shove it off of her so she can kind of scramble away while trying to get her gun out. But we'll see if she can actually get out first.
Do you have a fighting skill?
I do. No, I just have the shooting, and I have the unarmed.
All right, so
thing.
I'll say you can. I'll let you choose. You can do unarmed, or you can do flat strength. It's entirely up to you. I'm not sure how those stack.
I'm not sure what the unarmed is. I assume it's just my strength. It says the damage is strength.
Okay, so yeah, it'll be a
So.
strength roll regardless then.
She's so good at that. That is a 7.
All right. All right, so you just shove this thing off. It's a lot lighter than you were expecting. And as you shove this thing off of you, it kind of flies backwards and lands like on its butt, basically on the opposite side of you. Are you just kind of scooting away from it?
She will like scoot back a bit and try to get up as best as possible so she's actually on her feet.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that. No problem.
And as she's doing that, she'd like to pull her gun. I know she probably can't shoot this round, but she'll try to put some distance and have her gun out.
Okay. I will say you can shoot if you'd like. It would be at a -2 penalty. But you are shooting towards where your friends are and the horses are.
I'll hold off. She'll just
Okay.
have it at the ready
Sure.
for
No
when
problem.
it comes at her next.
All right, and now we have 3 7s. We have Reverend, Maisie, and Lavinia. So I will let you. I mean, you can go together. This happened with Maisie and Lavinia last time too, didn't it? You can go at the same time if you'd like. If you want to do something kind of coordinated, I'll let you talk about it, or you can go one at a time. It's up to you.
I mean, Maisie's just gonna aim to shoot the closest one to her and Jesse in the head.
Okay.
The Reverend is assessing the situation, so he'll sit back and let them react first, and then he'll react after they do.
What is Lavinia's intent?
There's one on me because one just bit me.
Correct.
So I would be trying to break hold and get away from that one.
All right. So
just to move away from that.
Sure. I'll have you make a strength roll. Maisie, you said you're aiming for the head specifically?
Yes.
All right. So that is a -4 penalty for a called shot to the head. So you can make a shooting roll at a -4.
I believe.
That wound up a 4, by the way.
Okay.
14.
Wow.
My thing exploded twice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm not even gonna have you mess with damage, because so Lavinia, you're able to shove the one that bit you off of you. You kind of scoot back, holding onto your shoulder as it's just a chunk is just torn out of it. Maisie, you pull out your gun, you aim towards this thing's head, and you fire, and you watch as it just slams into the skull. The face kind of like caves in a little bit, and this rotten brain just explodes out the back. It is the worst stench, and it falls over, no longer moving. You see one foot kind of twitch a little bit, but it is down and out.
Aim for the head.
Reverend.
Is the one that Maisie shot, was that the one that was on Lavinia?
The one Maisie shot would have been the one that Rosalind had kicked off.
Well, that Rosalind kicked off. Okay. Then I'm going to quick draw my other revolver, and I'm going to shoot the one that Katrina has roped up, and I'm aiming for the head with that one, and I'm aiming for the head of the one that's after Lavinia as well.
Wonderful. That's a -4 for both.
Okay.
I shoved that one off, correct?
Yes.
And that would be all I could do this round?
Yeah, you can scoot back, and you can try to stand if you'd like.
Yeah, I would try. I would try to get up.
Okay. Go ahead and make a vigor roll for me.
No.
All right. I got a 9 on the first shot and a 4 -4 on the second shot. The 9 was with the -4 though.
Okay.
So 1 hit, 1 miss.
Gotcha. What was that vigor?
Luckily, still a 4.
Okay. So you're
Even after the -1.
you're able to stand up. You can't put much pressure on your leg, but you are able to stand. You are just limping. If you try to stand for too long, you probably aren't going to do too well. Reverend, you fire off both shots. The one on the ground, like in the rope, you fire into just its brain as it's laying down. It hasn't even had a chance to get back up yet. You just spatter rotten brain all over the ground there. The other one, as you fire, it was in the process of still being shoved off of Lavinia, so it just moved a little more than you were expecting, and the gunshot just goes into the dirt. You see some dirt spray up. Jesse, you're up.
I'm gonna take a shot at the one that he just missed on,
Okay.
To the head as well.
All right. -4 penalty.
The Reverend will call out, circle up, and then try to get what I'm trying to get them to do is kind of circle the horses around the ladies that have fallen off the horses, so that these creatures have to get through the horses to get to them.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I got a 1 and a 0. with that because my one dice was a 5 and when the other one was a 4. So,
Jesse, bestie.
Do you want to use a Benny?
No.
yeah, I'm gonna use a Benny. Okay. And a 4 on my wild die.
Okay.
All right. With that 4, go ahead and roll damage for that. And add +4 to your damage.
6 plus 4 is 10 to the damage.
Perfect. All right. So that too, aiming at that one as it's getting back up and it's about to lunge toward Lavinia again. You just fire off, and you see its momentum. It was moving pretty quickly as it's going to lunge for you, and the gunshot just makes it fall. As it's still coming towards you, it falls like beside you from the impact. So Lavinia, you watch it just fall down lifeless beside you, just undead brains just leaking out. And that is that. We're gonna draw another round.
I just look down at the thing right there and just go, fuck!
The Reverend cringes a little bit. just a little. Just.
All right, we have Reverend,
Oof.
Jesse.
Oh,
2 different oofs.
Yeah.
Katrina,
All right. Okay.
yeah, Katrina.
Hell yeah.
Maisie,
And I spend a Benny.
yes, we will come back to
Okay.
that. Rosalind. Oh yeah, 2. Okay, still not bad. Still not bad with the 10. Lavinia. Damn. And me.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Alright.
spend a Benny.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
So it takes me down to 2.
Reverend and Maisie spending a penny. Here is Reverend
Better than it was.
and Maisie.
Better.
I'm gonna go ahead and spend a penny myself.
No, the fuck you're not. No.
I got the same thing. So, okay. So up first we have Katrina.
So I'm just thinking about what I can. So with the Reverend saying to circle up, and let me just confirm the zombie, whatever the hell it is, that I have like lassoed. It's still like up.
It's dead. No,
It's dead.
those 3 that initially attacked you are dead.
Okay.
But you see figures moving in from all sides around you.
Okay, cool. Because I was gonna try to drag it, but I guess not. So like, yeah, I loosen my lasso, so that I can just throw the length of rope over my shoulder and like, circle, use my horse to circle around, and I'll also pull up someone if I can, like reach down to pull somebody up.
Sure. I'll say make a
And use the lasso for it, so that they can have something to hold on to.
Okay. I'll say circling around, which one do you try to help up, Rosalind or Lavinia?
Lavinia, she just had to make a bigger roll. I think that might be.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Lavinia, can you hold on to this? I'm gonna try to pull you up.
I'm gonna try.
Go
Alright.
ahead and make a strength roll for me.
All right. Well, thank God for wild dice, huh? All right. Ooh, let's fucking go. My wild dice exploded. Okay, hold on. I mean, my D4 exploded. Hold on.
Okay, maybe I'm not dying yet. That'll be good.
Okay. 9?
Okay, yeah, you're able. It's just so tough without that extra leg to help kind of boost you up there, but you're able to pull her up behind or in front.
In front. I'll like guard her with my body, like
Sure.
shield her as much
Sure,
as I
sure.
can.
All right, easy enough. Okay, that was Katrina's go, and now we are up to Lavinia.
Well, I'm up on the horse now, yes?
Yes.
Are there any of them that have approached like shooting range?
Yeah. They are pushing in closer.
Okay, I'll take a shot at one of the ones that's close by. I'll go ahead and just use my Derringer.
Sure thing.
That one, sorry, Derringer.
It's a shooting roll first.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's just a shooting roll.
Shooting roll. Yeah, I get confused when I jump back into this too. Yeah, shooting roll, and then your damage will be whatever is assigned to it.
My wild die just exploded.
Yeah.
Again. With the -1 penalty, that would be 15.
Okay, I will ask, are you just shooting at it or are you aiming for its head?
Oh yeah, I would probably aim for its head, knowing that
All right.
that is. So with that penalty, that would bring it down to an 11.
Okay, yeah, that's still good. Go ahead and at this distance, I'll say roll that damage. You have 1 extra damage die for that roll though.
9, because one of them exploded.
Perfect. All right, so even at this distance with your Derringer, you pull it out, fire, you see it just spray into its face, and the spray just continues backwards as it just slumps over. You see more coming in to take its place.
I'm just going to shout at Katrina now that I'm back on the horse. We're getting out of here, right?
As
All
soon
right.
as we fucking can. Yeah.
All right, now we are up to Jesse.
Jesse is looking for the next closest zombie and is going to take another shot at
Go
that.
for it. Just gunfire just everywhere. You see the flashes in the fog every time they go off.
9, but I take the -4 because I'm making a headshot, so it's 5.
Still good. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay. Any bonuses to that, or is it just the 2d6 that I'm usually using?
Add 4 to the damage, yeah.
Okay,
Forgot
so 10 damage.
Okay. Yeah, so what weapon are you using?
My peacemaker, my colt
Super.
peacemaker.
All right, yeah, so you're on the horse and you're just looking around. You look at the one that seems to be getting closest to you, aim towards it, fire, splatter its brains, it falls. You're creating a good body count in this circle around you as you're just firing off at any of them getting close enough to hit. Is there anything else for your turn?
Is there Maisie's still in the back of mine, right?
Yeah.
Anybody else is still down or anything?
Rosalind is still on the ground. Standing, but on the ground.
Okay. I'm gonna have Maisie take the reins. I'm gonna hop off and run over to Rosalind to sort of give her some protection if I can.
Okay. All right, so Maisie, you are on the horse by yourself currently.
I was born in the saddle, so.
And now we are on to Rosalind.
Is there any like of the undead like close to her, or are they a good distance?
I will say at this point, most of the horses are surrounding you right now, so you can still see through like between the horses, and you see many coming in this direction, but you are there is a circle around you of horses attempting to protect you.
I think she's going to look at Jesse and be like, we should probably go. I don't think we can take out all these. Right?
Right, but we can't leave you alone.
Well, I'm just going to go right over there to the Reverend's horse again.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll say easy enough, you can even head over back to your horse if you'd like. Jesse, as as Rosalind hops back up on the Reverend's horse. I'll say you're not quite back on your horse yet, but you're beside your horse.
Okay.
And would the Reverend want me to go up in front or behind?
In front of him this time.
Okay.
If most of the zombies are like behind us at this point, right? Because we killed the ones that came out in front of us.
They're kind of all directions right now, but it is probably easier to pull someone off from behind.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm gonna put her in front of me in the saddle. That way it's harder to pull her off.
Okay. All right, so you are pulled up. Are you making any attacks?
Yeah, she'll take a shot at one that's close-ish.
Okay.
So that's shooting. And she will be aiming for the heads, taking the -4.
Okay.
Exploded. Exploded again. So it'd be a 12.
All right. Yeah, I'll say I'm not even worried about damage for that. As that one's getting closer, fire off that Derringer again. You see it just spatter up. It kind of spatters back onto another one that's approaching. It's just covered in fresh guts and gore. And you are on the Reverend's horse. And now, Maisie and me have the same number. So we are supposed to go in reverse alphabetical order. If it's a tie, so you go first.
Excellent.
The diamonds.
Can I help Jesse back up onto the horse?
Sure, yeah.
You get to hold on to me this time. And she's gonna kind of look at Katrina and the Reverend. Should we just take the fuck off? Cause we're a little outnumbered.
Ride.
So with my Born in the Saddle, it increases the horse's pace by 2.
Okay.
And also I can re-roll a riding roll if I want.
All right, so are you just slamming on the riding?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and make a riding roll.
Okay. Uh, 15.
All right. So you hear the reins slap against this horse, and it rears back for a moment, almost as if there's nowhere to go. Rears back, and then as it pushes forward, you see it starting to run, and you feel the jolt as it is just slamming into body after body after body. You see these undead looking up, grabbing, scratching. You hear the horse kind of crying out from these various wounds it's taking as it's just pushing forward. And that is your go. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna roll some dice real quick. As you are pushing forward, I'm gonna first have Reverend and Maisie make a. I'll let you choose. Riding could come into play with this, but if your strength happens to be higher, I'll let you go with that.
So, yeah, I'll go with riding since I can re-roll if I mess that up.
Sure thing.
Oh, my 6 exploded.
That's
It's
good.
11.
Okay.
That was a writing test because they're the same for me. Strength and writing are the same.
At 12.
All right, so you're both able to stay on this horse as it is pushing forward, even with the claws trying to scrape against, trying to pull you off. You feel parts of your clothing being snagged and just ripped as these bodies are just trying to grab onto you and keep you from being pulled away. Reverend, what is your toughness?
5.
All right. You feel a scratch mark, all bone, just tear into your thigh as you're going by. This will be enough to cause 1 wound. Would you like to pay me a Benny to try to soak it?
No, I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take that one.
All right. Okay.
I will note that as part of my Born in the Saddle, it says I know how to make the most out of my steed in an emergency. So,
right, yeah. So you're it's really hard at first, just because so many of them are clustered so close together. But once you get through this wall, basically, it will be easy for you to be able to maneuver around any remaining undead. Roslyn, you are on
The
Jesse's
Reverend's
horse?
horse. Reverend's.
Oh, my bad. Maisie, who's on your horse?
Jesse.
Right. Okay. So, interesting. How do we want to do this? So my roles before were to see who was being attacked this round. So regardless, Reverend would have been attacked.
Okay.
But we'll say when you yelled ride, everyone kind of smacked down on the reins, but Maisie's horse is the first one to
Bolt.
head off. Yeah. So, all right, Roslyn.
Everyone, ride!
yeah, pretty much. Roslyn, as the horse is beginning to move and beginning to push forward, you see one on each side. Each side of the horse comes up, reaching for both of you. And as one of them reaches up, I'm going to attempt to make a claw attack for one and a bite attack for the other.
Okay.
With your parry?
2.
Okay. All right, so the claw attack, it goes to scratch and it just gets your boot. It actually does grab onto your boot and pull off your boot. So it does just yank the boot off of your foot and it's just holding on to it, just ripping it apart. The bite attack does just clamp down onto your thigh. More blood just spraying out as it's just biting down onto you. You yell out, you actually kick instinctively, and you do kick it off of you. It stumbles back a little bit, and as the horse moves, you kind of leave it behind you. And that is my turn.
So
Reverend.
do I take a wound for that, or?
What's your toughness?
4.
That will be enough for 1 wound. You want to try to soak it, or are you taking it?
I will. How does the soak work? I know I make a roll.
You'll make a vigor roll to see if you can reduce that wound.
I'll go ahead and yeah, I'll pay the Benny.
Okay.
Because it's only going to get harder. So 2. And I still get to use the D6 for that as well. Well, got a 3.
All right, so yeah, you would still have to take that wound, so that's still a -1 penalty for you. All right, and Reverend, you are up.
Do I see the rope that Katrina has? Where's that rope currently? Is it attached to something?
It's not attached to anything. I used it to pull up Lavinia.
Okay. I'm gonna delay my turn. I'm calling out for the rope, stowing my pistols while I call for the rope. Well, Yeah, stowing my pistols, holding on the reins with one hand, calling for Katrina's rope with the other, and then delaying until that rope gets in my hand. And as soon as it's in my hand, I'm going to bolt in the direction that Maisie went, so that she and Katrina and I can stay connected with the horses we're on.
Okay, gotcha. I will have for that throw. I'm gonna have Katrina make an agility roll.
Great, I can definitely do that. So yeah, I will throw the rope. Excuse me. I will throw the rope to the Reverend, and then as soon as it's in his hand, I'm just gonna follow that lead and also bolt with Lavinia in front of me. So, and oh hell yeah! Okay, I have one explode. 1 second. 2 explode. Hold on, that's already 17. Okay, 20.
Wow.
All right, so it is a absolutely perfect throw. I will go ahead and let you take your turn before we start this next round, since you were at the end. Just because we're tossing that rope. Perfect throw, you have it. So the two of you are connected and you are running forward, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. The next round, we have Reverend. Is a 6. We have Jussie with a 2. We have Katrina with a 5. We have Maisie with a 4. We're making up for the last round. We have Rosalind, who needs 2 cards, right? Okay. Ooh, damn, you are lucky with this. So you get the 10, put the jacket on. We have Lavinia with a 6. I'm running out of space again. And we have we have me with the Joker. That being said, I will say, Rosalind, what would you like to do? Unless any of you want to spend the Benny.
I mean, 5?
Yeah, the enemy does have a Joker, though, and that means they can literally go whenever they want. So I'll leave it up to you whether you want to spend that Benny or not, because they can just go whenever. So the odds of you, getting higher than them won't matter.
Can we spend a Benny to make you with redraw?
That's what I was going to ask. So I'm with you.
I have allowed that before. So I'll say if every single member spends a Benny, I will redraw.
Oh, that's expensive.
That was my rule the last time I was asked this.
That is pretty expensive. We're all on horses now.
And at the very least, we're all on horses and running away.
Yeah. But I mean, that didn't stop Rosalind from being attacked last
I'll
time.
I'll do it if the group decides that it's the right thing. But I would initially say, nah, let's just run like hell.
Nah, fam.
That's exactly what I'm feeling at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just go.
All right. So on that note, Rosalind, you are up first.
Oh, good. I think she's just going to take a shot. She's not going to aim for the head or anything. She's just shooting at a random zombie thing.
Okay. So to note,
yes.
we are currently on horseback, which, unless you have an edge that allows you to ignore unstable platform penalties, that puts you at a -2.
Okay.
So if you're aiming for the head, you have a -6.
Nope, she's just going to, for right now, she's just shooting at one.
Okay.
Just to knock it down, if anything.
All right, so
else.
that'll be just a -2 for you.
Okay. Oh, I rolled the wrong die for that. So that is a 3 with the -2.
All right, fire it off. You're not sure. You hear it hit dirt, just scatter across as you are continuing on. And you are on the Reverend's horse, correct?
Yes, I'm sitting in front of the Reverend.
Okay. Reverend,
and
do you have the reins, Reverend, or did you hand Rosalind? Okay, cool.
And since that was my second shot from the Derringer, does that mean my next round will be just loading, or do I do that in the meantime?
I don't think that's the rules, but I want to say you can do it just as you're heading on. You're just reloading it. I'd say if you only had one shot on your next one, you wouldn't. With it being 2 shots, I really don't care. So I'd say you can reload them. It's not like you're sitting there,
Doing
filling a gun
bullets.
full.
Hold on.
Yeah. So I'll say you can just do it between turns. It's not a big deal for me.
Okay.
Okay, so that is Rosalind's go. And before anyone else goes, I will go ahead and go. Okay. All right, so as you are all pushing forward, Maisie's horse taking the blunt of the slamming into bodies just from pushing them out of the way. The other 2 horses have a little bit easier of a time maneuvering around the bodies that are falling everywhere. But 2 of these undead come up to each side of Katrina's horse. And Katrina, you are on a horse with Lavinia?
Lavinia, yeah.
Cool. All right, so both sides, they just cling on, sort of like the raptor on Jurassic Park, just clinging onto the side. That's basically what these things look like as they just cling onto the horse. You see one bony hand just shoved into the horse as it's holding on. The horse kind of screeches and is trying to run faster to get away from this thing. It kind of bucks a little bit. And with its other claw, it reaches and it just grabs onto Katrina's arm, brings it over, and is going to attempt to bite into your forearm.
Fuck that.
What's your parry? Okay.
That's so timid. 2.
All right, so what is your toughness?
5.
Okay, so it bites into your arm. You feel the teeth go in, but before it can pull a chunk away, you basically bop this thing on the head just out of just reaction, just bop, and it just lets go and falls back. It's still holding on, but it's not latched on to you at the moment. It's just kind of falling back a little bit. The other one on the other side goes to just slash into Lavinia.
I bop it. I'm like, get down, you cat. Yeah.
So Lavinia, it goes to slash into you. I rolled well over your toughness, but I rolled super low on damage. So as it slashes, you feel its just bony fingers and claws slash across your shoulder and arm, kind of tearing into some of the flesh that had already been torn off. So it hurts, but you don't gain any new wounds from this. And its slash actually knocks it unstable, and it does fall off, and it is being left behind.
Guess that's it on strapless dresses.
Maisie, what is your parry?
A 2.
Okay. Your toughness.
A 5.
All right, so with this undead latching onto the front of this horse, holding onto it, you see it just tearing the horse as it is climbing up. The horse actually bucks and kind of veers off track for a moment. It veers into the fog away from the tracks. And as it's doing so, just wailing, trying to get away from this thing, it's crawling up the horse, and it grabs onto your thigh and just bites down right above your bad knee. It doesn't hit your wound or anything. It bites right above it, just chomping down into this bad knee. With that, I will have Maisie and Jesse both make a strength roll for me.
Okay. Oh, thank God.
I got a 5.
How do you do math? That's a 13.
Okay, so you're both able to stay on the horse. Which one of you has the reins? Maisie, correct?
Maisie.
Yeah, me.
All right, so I will say you're able to stay on the horse, and you're actually able to kind of pull the horse to try and head back towards the tracks. You're not quite there yet, and you have lost sight of your friends, but you believe you can head this horse into the right direction if you can get this undead creature off of it, because it is just clutched into this horse. All right, that is my turn. Up next, we have both Reverend and Lavinia. If you're not sure who wants to go first, technically Lavinia's first, or you can go at the same time.
Lavinia can go first.
I'm on the horse with Katrina, and I just got one that clawed at both of us, right?
Yes, one let go. The one that clawed at you let go. The one that went for Katrina is still holding on.
Can I've got a knife on me. Can I try and get the one that's on, or even just knock the one that's holding onto our horse, try and knock it off?
Okay, are you using the knife, or are you just kind of gonna have the knife ready and just kick it?
I'd probably start by kicking it and make sure I've got the knife handy.
Okay, that'll be a fighting roll.
Oh, I don't have fighting.
Then that'll just be a -2 to that, plus your wound penalty. Or minus your wound penalty. Yeah, however you want to say that.
Did I get a wound from that bite?
You did not.
Okay.
Yeah, it did not cause enough damage to actually like rip flesh from you, so you do not have a wound.
That's only a 1. That's after the penalties, but...
You want to use a Benny?
I feel like I probably should.
All right, go ahead and re-roll.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, what are my negatives? No. Oh, after all the negatives, that's only a 3 still.
All right, so you're kicking this thing. You're definitely holding it at least back. You have your foot out, and it's square against his chest, and it's still just holding on to the horse. And you're holding it away. You don't think it would be able to bite either of you. It may get a claw in, but you're definitely holding it at bay at least. Is there anything else?
That's something. I'll take it.
All right.
There wouldn't be anything else I could really do on this turn, right?
Not really. You can take a second action on your turn, but you're at a -2 penalty for doing that. So that plus your other penalties stacking, that's entirely up to you if you want to try anything else.
I mean, I'll give it a shot even with the penalty. It seems worth it.
Yeah.
Can I now, since I've got my foot on it, can I swing over with the dagger and try to, stab at it and get it to let go?
Sure. So you're mostly kind of stabbing at its arm, probably.
Yeah.
Other than so.
It would be like, let go.
So with your wound penalties, with the double action penalties, and with the called shot penalty to the arm, that's a -5.
Worth a shot, right?
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible. Anything's possible. It's not possible.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I forgot a -2 for being unskilled, so that would have been a -7 regardless.
It's not possible.
Okay.
I would frantically be trying.
Yeah, you're stabbing. You're just hitting air.
This is a. Oh no! Get us out of here.
Perfect. Reverend, you're up.
So the Reverend is going to, with one hand, snap the reins of the horse to try to keep driving it forward. Going to quick draw with his left hand, turn around and shoot at the one that is attached to the horse that is on Katrina's horse. And I'm going to aim at its head. So I'm taking a -5 on it.
Yeah.
Ooh, the 6 exploded. So that's a 5.
Okay. That'll do it. Roll damage for me.
Does damage explode too?
It does.
Both
That's
die
the-
exploded.
That's just the best question. That's the best question. Does damage explode too? Yeah, if both exploded, roll both again.
So that is 19. 20 with the +1.
So this thing is just blasted out of existence. Unfortunately, a lot of its guts spray up onto both of you, Katrina and Lavinia, just showered with zombie guts as this just sprays over you. Some of the zombie himself falls into the saddle between the two of you. It's very unpleasant. But you're no longer threatened by an undead. So there's that.
Excellent.
I've made some very unladylike noises.
Perfect.
That's not the worst thing that's been between my legs.
I'll just nonchalantly say, my apologies, ma'am, and spin the gun and put it back in my holster and go at the horse again to keep moving forward.
All right, sounds good. Now we are up to Katrina.
Okay, so there's only one zombie on our horse, or near our horse.
Not anymore. That's the one Reverend just blew to paste. The other one had let go, so none are currently holding on to your horse.
Okay, all right. Are there any that are... Wait, Reverend, don't we still have grip on the rope?
Yeah, I'm holding the rope and the reins in one hand.
Okay, all right. So I have my Bowie knife in one hand. I have the rope and the reins in my other. Do you want to try to trip some zombies?
Oh, I'm so here for that. 100%.
Okay, all right.
I think it's time we just clothesline as many as we can,
That's exactly what Katrina looks over at the Reverend and, just kind of tugs on the rope just to indicate yeah. Yeah, so are there any that I could just do a quick sweep move and using the Reverend as one end of the radius?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd say the Reverend is probably staying close to the tracks. You would come out just a little bit with the rope connecting the two of you. With how far you are from each other, you won't be able to see each other once you pull this tight enough to clothesline, but you do know the rope is connecting the two of you. So you're still connected that way. You can't see each other, but as you're moving forward and kind of gaining speed, you just feel the rope just being pulled every time one of the zombies run into it. You just feel it just tugging, and you're just mowing them over.
Lavinia, my dear, hold tight. Holding
on. Oh, Lord help us. Goodness, the other end of that rope is held by a Reverend.
Well, it should be.
All right, Maisie, you are up.
Yeah, so since I've spent a lot of time in the saddle, I'm gonna hold on to the reins with one hand and shoot my Colt Thunderer at the zombie that's right there in front of me, holding on to the horse, aiming for the head.
Perfect.
So
-4 to that.
Yeah, so what roll is this? Am I making just a shooting roll?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it exploded. And it exploded again. Okay. Okay, so that'll be a 19.
All right. There also, not that that matters for a 19, would have been a penalty for. Actually, since you're born in a saddle, don't you ignore shooting penalty for? I'm pretty sure you do. So either way, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, with the 19 especially. Yeah, holding onto the reins, you just put your gun basically point blank by this thing's face and fire. And as you do, it just lets go and falls backwards off of the horse. And it's just galloping further. Go ahead and make a riding roll. I assume are you wanting to move back towards where you remember the tracks being?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, make a riding roll.
6.
Okay. So as you're maneuvering the horse back towards the riding roll, both Maisie and Jesse, you feel the horse falter for a moment, move forward, falter again, and then it just completely falls down to the ground. Its wounds just bleeding. It cannot go any further, and you just hear it. At this point, you also see 2 more undead figures closing in on you. One kind of goes for the horse. The other one reaches up for Maisie, and as it does so, you hear quick, heavy gallops, and you hear a blade. And this undead creature's head is sliced just through the middle here, off. And a horse stops directly in front of you. The gun comes down, puts your horse out of its misery, and holds an arm out for both Maisie and Jesse. And it says, "Get on, we gotta go."
I climb
Jesse.
up.
Yeah, Jesse.
Oh, yeah, Maisie is...
Just arm up. He reaches down for both of you. There's not a comfortable way for you both to ride on this horse. It's more of just a hold on till we get out of here sort of situation.
Get real close, Jesse. Real close.
Pulls both of you up. And as he does so, he rides over closer to the tracks. Reverend and Katrina, you see him as he's going by each of you. You see him hold up a hand and just make like a follow me motion. And he gets sort of in between the two of you, so that you can see him a little bit better, and just starts taking off. You see him, some sort of blade in his hand. He is just slicing undead as you are running through. Go ahead, and everyone holding reins, make a riding roll for me.
What's your name, sir? I haven't been between 2 men in a while.
We'll get to that in a moment.
I have a feeling this episode is just going to be a bunch of Jesse eye pops, like just being surprised at what these girls are saying.
I got a 3 because of my wound, actually.
I got a 9.
Okay. Yeah, so Reverend, you feel yourself falling behind. It is a good thing you are holding onto that rope, because now instead of clotheslining as you're going by, you are just kind of using that rope as a leading, something to lead you as you're kind of falling behind Katrina. And with this stranger's lead, you gallop through. You're able to maneuver and evade these undead as they are coming up. Some of them still grab onto horses, and you're quick to just slice their hands or push them down. And you're in a quick, as quick as you can, run on these horses until you see you're coming up out of this fog, back up onto a hill. But this stranger doesn't slow down. He kind of leads you off the trail a little bit, away from the railroad tracks, and as you're realizing you're kind of heading away from the tracks, you see a small sort of shack in the distance that he seems to be leading you to take some sort of rest or cover. and he just starts leading you in that direction. Still not saying anything. And once you get to this shack, he hops off the horse. He brings his horse over, ties it up, turns to you, and he takes off his hat. You see he has very, very thick leather straps kind of wrapped around his arms and legs to make himself harder to bite. You see different leathers around his torso. You especially see some sort of leather fixed at his neck. He has basically this just crafted armor to protect himself from these bites or these scratches. He removes his hat and removes the bandana from over his face, and you see like a blonde, almost like colonial style ponytail. And he looks like he's probably usually clean shaven, but he's got a little bit of scruff going on right now. He takes his bag, his satchel style bag, off from around his shoulders and walks over and opens the shack door for you and just kind of bows for you to enter.
I don't enter the home of no man without knowing exactly what the hell is going on. So, who are you?
He puts his hat to his chest and kind of nods. Sorry, my name's Gabriel Matthews. I'm a wrangler. Everyone make a common knowledge roll.
Well, Mr. Matthews, thank you so much for your assistance out there. Just...
Nine.
The wrong die.
I critical failed.
2.
8.
Also a 2.
Okay, so who all got above a 4?
I did 9.
Okay. All right, so the two of you've heard the term wrangler before, but it's been a while. The very first Walking Dead outbreak, they kind of made these new jobs, these wranglers, to help get these undead away from cities or towns and kind of wrangle them in more wild areas. They are basically always on shift. Typically loners, typically people that don't have a place to call home necessarily, don't mind traveling the wilds and just keeping these undead in check. You've never met one before, but you have heard of wranglers, so. Please head inside. Sit. I'll tend to your horses. And you look over and you see the horses are just scratched all the way down their sides.
Well, that's good enough for me. And as Maisie walks by him to get inside, she'll run a hand through his ponytail really quickly. I wish I would have known about that sooner. I would have had something else to hold on to. And then she'll just go inside.
Okay, he looks he's not quite as young as Jesse, or as he definitely looks maybe early 30s. But he definitely looks like he hasn't seen other people in a while. So there's this immediate, just obvious reaction of what?
So he's about Katrina's age. Okay, all
right. Not to be upstaged in behavior. I immediately start paying attention to Jesse very aggressively again, and kind of sort of grabbing him to drag him into the shack with me.
I have 2 hands, Lavinia.
So do I.
I thank Gabriel for his assistance as we cross by him.
He nods and he starts walking over to at least like check and see how the horses are doing. You head inside.
Yeah, the Reverend will kind of slump off his horse and kind of limp in, favoring that leg, looking down at his boot to see how damaged the boot is. But he'll walk inside as well.
Yeah, the boot is torn down just one side, almost to the like the ankle bone. Heading inside, you see a really small shack. It's the smallest little shack, and you see he's probably been holed up in here for a few days. He has just a little like cooking, like tiny little fireplace, little burner to just cook a few things right next to one of the windows that he currently has open. You see like a bedroll laying down on the floor. It just seems this is where he found to make camp for a couple days. Very small, a little cramped with all 6 of you in here, but you walk in, you sit down. He is outside for a couple of minutes just tending to the horses. Is there any conversation the 6 of you have before he enters?
I think Katrina definitely wants to check on Lavinia and the Reverend and like any other wounded first, just to see like, you know, verifying like no one's about to die, you know.
Yeah. Rosalind is favoring her arm a bit and limping mostly because she doesn't have one of her boots.
I pull everything aside and expose the shoulder where.
Yeah, just flesh ripped out.
Yeah, you see the Reverend's leg is pretty torn up as well.
Jesse does what he can to look at all these wounds, but not knowing what he's looking at, is going to try his best to see what he can do with the limited knowledge of first aid that he has.
Sure. Are you going to try to do any sort of healing, or are you just
I'm
okay?
gonna use my healing roll.
Sure.
Is there like a way that I can maybe like search this cabin for stuff to patch up with to help Jesse out?
Sure. Make a notice roll.
Okay, bet.
I got
And
a
can I also
4. Got a 4.
Okay. Oh, that exploded. Hold on. Okay, 8 plus 3, 11 for notice.
Okay. Was there another question in there?
Oh, I was just going to ask if I could assist with the healing, because that's a skill I have as well.
Sure. Go ahead and make a healing roll yourself. I will say, Katrina looks around. There is just a little bag that seems to have bandages. Just bandages, nothing else really, but those will be helpful enough. You kind of take those out, and Rosalind and Jesse go around cleaning wounds as best they can.
I got a 6 for my healing roll.
Okay.
And that's with the -1 penalty.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Taking some time, you'll be able to patch up all of these wounds. I will say, how many of you have a wound? Okay. With both of you succeeding, that's still only enough of a success to heal 2 of these wounds. So I'll let you pick.
I'll try and heal my own.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say since Rosalind was helping heal other people, she probably wouldn't heal her own first. She would be helping Jesse with the Reverend and with Lavinia.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right, sounds good.
That works.
After a few moments, the shack door opens and Gabriel comes in, shuts the door. He just doesn't really look like he's used to being around people in general, let alone this many people. And he just kind of walks over and, are you hungry? And he starts digging into some bags to start preparing some food for you.
After that display, I don't know if I'll ever be hungry again.
I'm starving.
He does look at, he eyes each of you, and you definitely see his eyes find your face and then your wounds. And then he looks at the just ichor all over Lavinia and Katrina, and he reaches over and grabs a rag out of a bucket of water and just kind of squeezes it out and hands it over to you. He's like, if you'd like to clean up.
I definitely take that and start cleaning up and myself and then helping clean up Katrina too.
I think Katrina is just like beyond having anyone touch her right now, just between everything going on. She's like, Lavinia, I appreciate it. I'm gonna take care of myself, but thank you.
I finish cleaning myself up and hand you the...
Take it and clean.
Right. And at this point, Gabriel says, I'm sorry I didn't ask you your names.
Bill.
Gabriel, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Maisie. And then she's gonna like move to drape herself over Jesse.
Okay.
Lavinia. And I'm gonna lean over and just put a hand on Jesse.
Okay, he's just nodding. You see
But
him
I'm also gonna gesture in his direction. And
okay,
sort of...
okay. Yeah, you see him repeating each name after he's told it, just to try to put it in his brain.
Rosalind.
I'm Kat.
And you just see him kind of sitting there nodding. Well, I already said I'm Gabriel. I'd say it's a pleasure to meet you, but I don't know if that's entirely the case.
I mean, it's a pleasure because you saved us. I mean, I'd
Yes.
say that's pretty good.
And it could always get more pleasurable to meet us.
I don't think now is the time to be putting on those type of airs, Maisie.
It depends on who you ask.
I asked Gabriel how long he's been out here.
If I had to put a number to it, maybe 3 years, maybe a little more than that.
I asked him if this is just his territory or are there other wranglers out here?
Well, we usually travel in groups. We usually have, a group of 6 to 12, depending on the area. But I've been seeing some strange. I've been seeing this train. This train going by every few days, blowing its horn as if it was trying to call the undead to it. And that's not like us. That's not what Wranglers do. We're very controlled. We're very organized. This is something else. This is somebody else. I've been making my way to the railroad crossing station to see if I can catch it on its next way through. Figure out what it's doing, where it's herding all these undead to. What the hell are you all doing out here?
Just real quick, Gabe. Can I call you
Gabriel.
Gabriel?
Gabriel.
Okay, we'll get there. I take a little bit of time. Do you ever see a name on this train? Ever a name that's on it as it goes by?
Not that I've noticed. been more concerned about the undead usually.
Fair assessment.
We're on our way over to the crossing station as well.
Before.
Well, we're heading a certain direction, and I'm sure what is beyond that isn't quite relevant at the moment.
We
apologies.
We already needed another horse or two, and now that's kind of been upped by one, and so we were heading there hopefully to find some.
He looks a little sickened and distant, and you see him food in a pot to cook. He leans up against the table there, looking out to all of you, and he says, I've got some news and I'm not quite sure how to tell you.
News for us?
I already know that horse is dead. You shot it in front of us.
More about the fate of the others. And he kind of runs his fingers through his hair like he's not quite sure.
Fate of the other who?
Was this your first run-in with any of these Walking Dead?
Me personally, yeah.
I've heard the rumors, but I hadn't seen them.
I'm not real good with words, and I'm not real good with people, and I don't know how else to tell you. But there's no coming back from one of their wounds. One of their bites. One of their scratches. That's it.
This is it? This is it.
Sorry, what? But what the fuck? Who here?
How long does it take, Gabe?
Depends on the person.
Do they have to break the skin? I didn't get right. It did?
In mine? Fascinating.
Look, it's your life. It's your... And he pauses for a second, and you see him... He's like clenching and unclenching his fists, and he says, Some people believe that the person is still in there, suffering. Some think they're in there, but it's a whole new type of life. It's a new you, and you don't know any better. That's why Wranglers, we herd them away. We don't usually kill them. We keep them somewhere else. Why kill them if they're not a threat to anyone? Because maybe they are in there. Most people believe that you die and something else takes over your body.
The Reverend gets up, walks out of the house, drops down to his knees outside and starts praying. And he's just out there for a short while.
I grab Jesse's hand and try to reach for Katrina as well. Whether she flinches away or not, that's her business. Jesse, this is probably the first time I've grabbed your hand that you didn't feel like I was just trying to hit on you. I'm terrified.
Right.
Yeah, Maisie's gonna grab Jesse's other hand hard, like breakdown worthy. But on the outside, minus the hand grab, she looks completely normal. Now, surely, you know, they've been around for so long. There must be an antidote. It'd just be silly not to have one, especially for anybody in their early stages.
Doctors
He
have
just
tried.
said there's no coming back.
They've tried. They've tried
Katrina
for years.
Katrina absolutely gets up and just walks out too, like not too far behind the Reverend, but she just sits on the porch and just stares into the middle distance.
So sorry, I heard you and I got there as fast as I could. I was up here and I heard the gunfire and it just happened so quick. I'm so sorry.
Well, you did what you can, Gabe. I appreciate you coming out to help us.
You have some rough decisions to make, and I'm so sorry you have to make them, but I want you to know I can handle it if you'd like.
Is there like some kind of equivalent to an insight check I can do on him? Just so you know, make sure he's not just trying to kill us all off for funsies.
I will say a notice roll will be okay for that.
Okay, cool. Okay. 11.
You, from the body language and the facial expressions you've read from this man so far, you can tell he definitely hasn't had human interactions in a long time. He wouldn't know how to hide a lie if he was trying to lie.
Okay.
So this is at least the truth he believes.
Truth he believes.
After about 15 minutes, the Reverend will get up. Jesse!
I turn to Lavinia and to Maisie, and I say, I think the Reverend wants to talk. And I will walk out.
Go ahead.
Yes, Reverend?
Before you two dive into this conversation, I'm going to flash back just a moment to the Reverend's conversation with the mayor. He tells you Jesse's heading east. Folks like you and I, we know what evil can be out there, past our city limits, in the wild. Dangers that no mortal men can be prepared for. Dangers that I fear are slipping into our towns and our homes like that damned heart-eating monster. I know you've found a place for yourself here, Reverend, and I respect what you've done, and I respect the man that you've become since you picked up that book. That being said, Jesse's young. I need you to go, and I need you to look after him. If you'll stay by his side during this journey, I'd be mighty thankful. He looked up to the sheriff for some damned reason, and you're the one that I trust to look after him. If you will. And now we come back to Jesse and the Reverend.
I was supposed to look out for you, kid. Can't do that. I need you to take care of something for me.
What is it?
He takes his Bible out. Hands it over.
Jesse takes it.
I hope it can protect you better than I could. But just in case, and he takes his gun belt off.
Jesse takes the gun belt as well. He's looking more and more uncomfortable as the conversation goes on.
I won't become one. Do it.
Right now?
It's okay.
Right here?
I can go see my little girl. I can go see my wife. Just give me peace. I've earned it.
Gabriel's right inside. He can do this for you if you want. He just said to the
It
rest.
has to be you.
I look around. Katrina's still on the porch, right?
She was crying to herself, and now it's picking up in speed, but she this is something she's grappling with right now too.
You're a good man, Jesse. Not many people have earned my trust in the years, but you're going to do great things. You have to do this one terrible thing, and I'm sorry that I have to put it on you, but you have to do this.
Jesse, before
okay.
you do it, can I say one thing to the Reverend?
Yeah. I'm gonna actually go back into the shack, and I'll tell the Reverend, call me when you want to. I'll do it.
As Jesse comes in, would we have like any kind of context for the conversation that just happened?
Is Jesse crying at all, or does he have a pretty stiff face right now?
Right now, he's not crying yet. He's pretty shaken up. I want to go over to Gabe and have a whispered conversation with Gabe about how best to do it.
Okay. So yeah, the three of you see Jesse walk in, beeline towards Gabriel, and whisper to him. What do you say to him?
I tell Gabe that the Reverend has made a decision in whispered tones, but he wants me to do it, and that this is something that I've never done before, and I want to know how to best do it quickly and as swiftly as possible, so that he does not suffer.
He just has this just constant sick look, and this just guilt of just not being a little bit faster. And he tells you, just make him comfortable, and it has to be the head or he will come back.
Okay. he's going to go and just sit by the door
Okay.
and wait.
Katrina, you were heading up to the Reverend?
Yeah. Tears still streaming down my face. I don't think I've cried since the first time we were called to identify the bodies. But this is just... Yeah. I kneel next to the Reverend. Just... Reverend, I promised those girls in there I wouldn't let anything like this happen to them. But I feel like this is just another failure. I failed them. I failed you. I failed her. I mean, I don't know what to do. Maybe I failed God. Maybe this is just all punishment.
The fact that you're sitting here next to me contemplating is proof of the opposite. I'm not sad about this day. I've hopefully done enough to make up for the things I've done in my past. But even if not, I know I tried. And the God that I serve doesn't that's going to count for something. When you give yourself in sacrifice for anything or anyone, that will count for something. Like, I grab her hand and I clench it tight. I'm not telling you how to make this decision. This is my path. This is my decision. I can't be one of those things.
No, you shouldn't be.
I'm ready to go.
I'm not here to talk you out of it. I'm here to thank you for just everything.
She would have been proud of you.
She's proud of you. Look at all these people you've led to goodness.
It's something.
She grabs his hand tight.
I'm proud of you. He hugs her and he stands up and he starts to walk away and looks over at Jesse and kind of nods at him as he starts to walk off.
Jesse comes out, takes the Reverend's gun, walks forward towards where he is,
He'll take his backpack off and set it down. There's some other things in there. You can take possession of those. I won't need them where I'm going. The mayor put great faith in us, put great faith in you. It was rightfully placed. Take care of them, okay?
I will do my best to take care of them for as long as I can. I want to thank you for everything that you've done for me. I want to thank you for showing me the way. And for guiding my soul.
He asked me to walk beside you. I'll always be there.
I know you will.
And I turn around.
I raise the gun and I ask the Reverend if he has a favorite Bible verse. And I ask him to tell me what it is.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And he just recites it until.
As he gets to the end of the verse, Jesse pulls the trigger. And then collapses on his knees.
I'm assuming we would have heard the gunshot.
Absolutely.
So Maisie will go, well, hobbling. I was gonna say running. That's not something she could do anymore.
I probably tries to, like, goes to rush out the door, and as soon as you start to fall, Gabriel actually like catches you as you're falling and starts helping you out.
Okay. Yeah, she'll be going straight to the source. And when she finds Jesse, will kneel down beside him and put an arm around him.
I'd probably be not that far behind her, but I would stop at the porch with Katrina.
Rosalind is going to stay inside. She's just kind of curled up in the chair. She came from a cattle farm. She kind of knows what's going on.
Katrina's just face blank, nothing except tears, just crying, just crying. No sound, no like other evidence of emotion except the tears. She's just trying to maintain her composure.
You did what he asked, Jesse. You're a good person.
Jesse's having a hard time even talking at this moment. There are tears streaming down his face. He is sort of shell-shocked at this moment because he's never had to do this before. The things that he's fought before this have all been otherworldly, not a physical person that he knew. So He's just shocked right now, I think.
Some time probably passes in just absolute silence. You hear way off in the distance just the rumbling of thunder, some sort of approaching storm. Nothing to worry about in the immediate future. The sun is beginning to set on the horizon. Night will fall soon. And the five of you and Gabriel just stand in silence for a little while. Just the occasional sound of a sniffle, a shaky breath. And then Gabriel heads off back inside. Rosalind, you see him open up a bigger bag. He takes out a couple of shovels and a wooden cross. And he heads back outside. He walks over and he sets them down beside, not directly beside the Reverend's body, but near the Reverend. Puts a hand on Jesse's shoulder and he just says, "When you're ready."
Jesse takes a couple more minutes, slowly gets to his feet, and does what he can to take his mind off of what he just did. So the constant motion of digging and moving the dirt sort of just sets his mind at ease as he starts digging with Gabriel.
The rest of you just watch them well into nightfall. He brings out a couple of lanterns. You're just digging.
While we're digging, I ask Gabriel how long he's been wrangling.
I'm about 3 years.
Have you gotten close to being bit before?
He's helped, and he just kind of motions to the just thick leather straps wrapped around his limbs.
I don't know what to do about the others.
My experience, it's their decision to make. Like I said, some believe it's just the next step of their life, and that's why we leave them out roaming in those fields, you know?
Yeah.
It's their choice.
Maisie will interrupt at some point. When was the last time that train came around?
I came through a couple days ago. It doesn't seem to have a set schedule. It's been 4 days in between, 5 days in between. It's usually anywhere from 5 to 6, and it's been a few days at this point, so I'm expecting it any time.
Have you ever seen anybody change from one of these wounds?
Yeah. Before the Wranglers were formed, there was an outbreak in in the town I was living in. Look, my wife and my kid.
Is there a time limit?
The earliest I've seen it, mostly with children, smaller individuals, 12 hours. I've seen some go a little over 24.
Well, isn't that shitty?
And you just see him with just this guilt-stricken face, just continue to dig.
And just to clarify, Jesse is the only one without a wound, yeah? Maisie will just kind of crumple in on herself a little bit upon having received such hopeless information.
Once the hole is deep enough, Gabriel helps you grab the Reverend's body and kind of lower him down. And he kind of looks out to everyone who's probably been unable to sleep at this point at all, glances back and does anyone want to say any words or want to leave him anything?
Yeah, I want to say words.
And he just kind of respectfully steps back and just kind of puts his hands together in prayer.
Reverend Billy, sorry. Reverend William Elliott has been a part of my life since as long as I can remember. He wasn't just the father of the town or like my second father. He was the father of the most important person in my life. And he has saved and sacrificed himself for me and our town and his daughter and everything way too much in his lifetime. And he is the best soul that any of us will ever meet. And we were privileged to know him. May his last sacrifice not be in vain. And may we live all of our preceding days with the goodness that he instilled in us. In Jesus' name.
You hear Gabriel say a little amen.
Jesse takes his. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Rosalind takes off the bracelet that she's been wearing, has a rose on it, and puts it on his grave.
Gabriel places the cross on the grave as well.
Jesse takes the shovel, picks up a clump of dirt, and tosses it back onto the body and starts filling it in.
Gabriel does the same.
I'm going to sort of walk away as they start filling in the grave. Just take a minute.
After the grave is filled in, Gabriel returns to the shack, kind of leans the shovels up against the wall, and he gets into another bag and he pulls out a bottle of whiskey and just kind of sets it on the porch with a couple cups for anyone that would like some.
Well, I immediately sit down and drink with him.
Maisie will take a few shots.
Yeah. So will Katrina.
So, Jesse, I don't have that much time left on this plane, it would seem. So now's your chance, is what I'm trying to say.
I appreciate the sentiment, but
You know what? Don't say it. It's fine.
thanks.
I'm going to look at Katrina and just go, what now? Do we leave him and Gabriel to dig more holes for the rest of us?
I don't know. It's up to y'all. But I know what I want to do is apologize to the three of y'all for bearing the brunt of my shit. Because the three of y'all have also fought and sacrificed and gotten yourself injured only to, we're all cursed to be one of these creatures, and it's all because of me. And I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to deal with this.
And here I was thinking getting shot and run out of town was going to be the worst part of my day.
We have to do something. We have to, there has to be some way that we can stop this.
I mean, I for one refuse to face my own mortality, so.
What about that train?
That's what I was thinking.
If it's calling them, us, whoever, maybe there's a reason for that.
It knows something. What? I don't know, but something.
Look, the way I see this, we can either all sit here, have a couple more rounds, and leave these gentlemen to dig more holes. Or we can take advantage of whatever time we've got left, move on and see. We just met. I'm sorry, Gabriel. We just met you. Maybe there is something that can be done. You've been out here for a long time. You already said it.
Your choice.
I mean, this is not the first time I've faced death and been told I was going to die. And what are they going to do? Bite us and make us sicker?
It's true.
And then what do we do? Leave Jesse out to ride by himself through this?
Well, Katrina takes a second, slams back another shot, pours herself another. She says, well, Folks, it seems that we're at a crossroads. We either sit here, wait for our fate, and just not act, or we ride. We wait for that train, and we go after it. What direction are we going to take?
I'm done letting things just happen to me.
I agree.
I'm not sitting here.
We are the Highwomen.
We are indeed.
At this point, Gabriel takes another drink as well, and he nods, kind of seeing the decision made, and he intentionally doesn't look at anyone specific. And he says, when all this first started, my wife got bit first, and we thought the same. We thought we just get to another town. Someone will know something. Someone will be able to do something. So we're on the way. And I watch her lose herself to this curse. And I watch as she attacks our son. And then he looks up at Jesse and he says, I respect these decisions. I'm not going to, like I said, your individual choices. I've always respected that. But I ask, can I at least come with you? See if there's anything I can do to help.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to have you around.
Your wife did, could she tell it was happening when it happened?
There towards the end. She could feel it in her blood, in her brain.
I'm gonna pull out the gun that we took off the guy that tried to kill us.
Okay.
I go, this almost killed me earlier. May as well be the enemy when the time comes. If I know what's happening, and I just look at Jesse and I look at Gabriel, and I just trail off and don't finish the sentence.
He takes it. So for now, sleep. We'll head out first light.
First light.
At first light.
And with that, you all find a place on this floor to sleep. Just for me to have in my head. Like, don't, nothing's happening with this roll yet. I need all of the girls to make a vigor roll for me.
And that's our vigor plus wild?
Yes.
Okay. Do you need to know?
Yeah.
Numbers. 15.
16.
4.
11.
All right, so you thought it would be hard to fall asleep, but you find once you get into a comfortable position, the pain just knocks you out almost immediately. Your body just shuts down. Jesse, it does take you a little while to fall asleep. But once you do, you almost feel like it's as soon as you doze off, Gabriel is waking everyone up with just the minimum amount of light coming through the window as the sun is starting to rise. He is packing up all of his belongings. You see him walking outside, leaving the 5 of you in the shack.
So, like, how am I feeling?
Your wounds are very stiff. Wherever you were bitten, it feels like soreness. That pain kind of all the way through is what you feel around your bite wound. Just this interior pain, hurts to move, your muscles are sore. Other than that, you're feeling okay. It's just the wound hurts quite a bit. Gathering up your whatever you have on you at this point, getting up and heading outside, you see Gabriel just kind of standing with this defeated look on his face. And as you turn the corner, you see the 2 horses that were tied up. You see them pulling, fighting against the ties. Eyes kind of glazed over.
I'm going to kind of approach Gabriel, but leave plenty of space between me and the horses and go, I take it we're walking.
Yeah, suppose we are. He has his horse, and he heads over, unties him, and the 2 with the leg wounds. You're welcome to hop on.
Do you, by any chance, have any more armor? Not for us, but for Jesse.
Yeah, I think I could dig something up for you. Give me a few minutes. He starts searching through his bags. It's not quite as much as he has on, but he is able to give you some leather straps that you can put around like your forearms and your calves, like your shins. It's like little shin guards. I'll say that will give any undead a -2 penalty to attack you. So
Okay. I turn to Rosalind and I say, that is good thinking, and I appreciate you.
I hope it helps.
I'm sure it will.
All right, so Lavinia and Maisie are kind of hoisted up onto this horse, probably riding side saddle just because it's way more comfortable with this injured leg. and Gabriel's just leading the horse alongside him as you set off to follow these tracks to head closer to the railroad station. A few hours pass by. It's probably when the sun is highest in the sky. Rosalind, you feel this almost electric shock of pain shoot through you for a moment from your wound. Your back stiffens for a second, and it was just so quick. It was just one just surge of pain.
I think she'll, like, that's the only one that she felt.
Yeah, it definitely like surged and then gradually started to die down to its normal level.
I think she'll try to hide her quick reaction. But she might try to get out of the eyesight of like Katrina and like her group and just be more where Gabriel can see her mostly.
Okay. Yeah, just kind of shift over a little bit so you're more in Gabriel's eyesight. He kind of glances over. You kind of make eye contact for a moment, and he just kind of nods, and you continue on. I'm gonna have the four of you make another vigor roll for me real quick.
That's a 10.
Also a 10.
Thank you, exploding dice.
Same.
Thank you, exploding dice. That was a 17.
I got a 2.
All right.
No.
All right, so you are pushing forward, and it's not until another 15, 20 minutes that Rosalind, you feel another shock of pain shoot through you. This one so strong you involuntarily just fall down to your hands and knees. And while you're in Gabriel's eyesight, he looks, but it's the sound of falling. It's enough to catch everyone's attention. And you feel this heat in your lungs, and you just start coughing. Just a few coughs, 4, 5, and then it calms down.
We've all seen this, yes?
Yes.
I'm going to immediately try and catch Gabriel's eye, and I'm looking for the now kind of look from him.
Rosalind, no.
Do I get a sense from Gabriel that it's this is happening?
He stops walking, and he kind of puts his hand up on his horse to get the horse to stop walking, and he catches your eyes, and then he just looks down.
I'm gonna hop off the horse, and I'm gonna go, I've got this one. And I'm gonna walk over and go up to Rosalind. Does she look up at all, or is she just face down?
That is entirely up to her.
I think she would recognize your shoes, or however, and I think she would kind of sit back up on her knees as best she could, and kind of give you a look up. Sorry.
I think Katrina also like jumps off of her horse to go kneel next to Rosalind and like
You're actually
put
on foot.
Oh yeah, sorry.
already. Yeah,
Wow.
no worries, no worries. I just wanted to clarify, just so you know.
Yeah, just walks over, like runs over to Rosalind to like grab her hand and like squeeze it tightly. Like, no, not you two. No, I cannot lose another. No.
I'm
sorry,
gonna
Katrina.
try and quiet Katrina. I'm gonna look at Rosalind. I'm gonna go, what do you want?
I don't want to hurt any of you. I don't want to hurt Gabriel. I don't want to hurt Jesse.
Maisie is gonna get off of the horse like in the moment of that exchange and walk over.
I'm just gonna look at Rosalind. I'm gonna go, eyes open, eyes closed.
I think she'll close her eyes and go get him for me.
I'm gonna give Maisie and Katrina a minute, and then I'm gonna pull the trigger. And I'm just gonna dead-eyed walk back and get it back up on the horse.
Maisie's gonna collapse, sobbing in the dirt.
Katrina holds her, trying her best not to cry the way she did with the Reverend. Maisie, we can't stop now.
She was the best one of us, the nicest one.
And that's why I did that for her. Let's keep moving. We don't have time for this.
Lavinia's right. We need to keep moving.
And then all of a sudden, in a very eerie, off-putting way, Maisie just deadpans and moves to get back on the horse.
I reach down and try and help you up as best I can.
Good girl.
Gabriel gives you a moment. There's a moment where you're both sitting on the horse and he just is still sitting there hesitating, just petting. And then after a few moments of silence, he just looks over to Rosalind, tips his hat a little, and continues. You are following the tracks, and you see storm clouds rolling in. They'll probably be on top of you maybe by this afternoon. And as you're pushing forward, there are very, very slight twinges, slight pains, just arcing through Lavinia and Katrina's wounds. It's one, and then another, and another more painful, more powerful.
Would Maisie notice any of this?
I'll say you'll definitely notice Lavinia's with
We're on the
her
horse
being
together.
on the horse with you.
Lavinia?
I know.
You say when?
I know.
Preferably a little early, and not like, don't be counting on having your full faculties when really hits, you know? Sorry to be that way about it, but
No, I think Lavinia would appreciate that directness.
Not dead yet.
No. Still kicking.
All right, you are carrying on, and after another hour or so, you find yourselves cresting up over a hill, and far in the distance, maybe on the horizon, you see the railroad crossing station. It is within sight, within the hour, probably. Lavinia, I need you to make a strength check for me. I'm gonna put you at a -2.
Them's double ones.
Okay. You do have.
I got a Benny. I can blow that. I mean, I'm gonna die anyway. Okay. With the, you said -4?
2.
Or -2. Okay, so that's a 9.
Okay. So you feel there's a moment where you see the whole world spin for just a moment as your brain just fuzzes. And you feel yourself shifting to fall off of the horse, and you actually grab onto the back of the saddle and steady yourself. This is noticeable to everyone, but you do manage to stay on the horse and not completely fall off. As you kind of shake your head, and there's still just this blurriness, this fuzziness to your vision.
Lavinia, we're almost there. Can you hold on to my hand for me, and I can hold you around your waist?
I'm gonna try.
Okay. I'm not letting you down.
can you just not take me off the horse with you if you fall?
No promises.
Just the way I like it.
You start down the hill to head towards this Crossroads station, and you're a good maybe 60 paces in before Maisie, you kind of feel Lavinia stiffen for a moment behind you, and Katrina, you feel the just electric pain shoot through you from your wound. Your vision blurs. You grit your teeth.
This is now yet again, and vision is super blurred and all that. Gabriel's leading our horse, right?
Right.
I'm gonna ask him to stop.
Then he kind of glances back and puts his hand up again, stop his horse from walking.
I'm gonna hop down off the horse.
All right. I will say you do fall down to one knee when you do so, and then
Katrina helps her, guides her.
I'm gonna stand up, and I'm gonna start emptying my pockets and handing things to Gabriel.
he kind of closes his eyes for a second and then takes the things that you're handing him.
And I'm gonna look at him and I'm gonna go, whatever you and Jesse need. And I'm gonna hand him everything I have except the gun that almost killed me.
Okay.
Maisie is going to get off the horse and pull out her gun.
Katrina,
Lavinia.
been a hell of a ride.
You've been a. I can't words right now, but I'm so proud of you. Thank you. You're one of the best ones.
We all know Rosalind was.
Jesse walks over, stands in front of Lavinia, and says, it doesn't say anything actually, just gives her a sweet kiss on her forehead and turns away.
Lavinia, I love you, but you're also a real pain in the ass. Can I take you out?
One last time you're going to take her out?
You know that I would never give you the satisfaction. And I put the gun up.
Maisie just turns around and struggles to get back up on the horse.
Shot just echoing out.
Maisie, if at any point I am more creature than human, I give her my Bowie knife. Ram it in there. Don't waste a bullet on me.
I do prefer it up close and personal.
Me too.
Before we move on, I'm going to grab the gun from Lavinia, stock it away in the knapsack that I'm carrying. Nod to Gabe.
Continue forward. The clouds are officially over you now as you are coming up closer to this railroad station. And as you come up to the building, you see the door. It's not a large station by any means. It seems to be more of for workers. It's not for you to check in and get on a train necessarily. It's more for the people controlling where the tracks are changing and things like that. So it's a fairly small building. The door is wide open as you are approaching Katrina. I am gonna have you make a vigor roll for me. You do have 2 bennies, so just keep that in mind.
Bennies. Oh yeah, no. Can I exchange 2 bennies to just push through? Like just to make it through the night.
It is still.
I mean, like my wound is significantly less substantial than everybody else. I like thematically, there's no reason really why. Yeah, like
Yeah, I will let you spend these 2 bennies to eliminate this vigor roll and the next.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Maisie, I will have you also make a vigor roll. You have 2 bennies as well.
Oh no, this roll's great. 17.
Okay. All right,
Listen,
so
I am saving these bennies.
all right, so pushing through, you make it up to this building.
Door's wide open, right?
Door is wide open.
Let's head on in.
Gabriel helps Maisie down from the horse. Starts bringing, there's a little like stables area off to the side, and he just starts walking his horse over toward that. Are the three of you heading to the doorway? All right. Who's heading in first?
Are there any windows, or is it just a door?
There's one pretty, like the whole front is basically a half window situation to look out and see approaching trains.
Okay. I go in first.
Okay. You head inside and you immediately get the terrible smell of rotten flesh. And you kind of instinctively cover your nose and you hear the flies buzzing. Walking in here, you see a dead railwayman laying down in the ground.
Does it look fresh, old?
As you're coming in, it probably looks maybe about a week old. Little more, little less, but give or take a week.
Can I mean, there's no better way of saying this. Can I loot his body?
Sure. Not much to find. You do find a little bit of money.
Okay.
You find, looks like a set of keys, probably to this little office location. Other than that, not much. He is just wearing a just rail yard uniform. It's not even specific to a rail line company.
Okay. I was just seeing if there was like any clues or anything on him.
You do notice there are many bullet holes in his chest.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, okay.
At this point, I will say, Jesse, make a notice roll.
I got a 3. I'm gonna spend a penny. Same thing.
You do have another.
Yeah, I'll do one more. Whew. Oh, it's 11.
Okay. You have seen, you've seen a few people now at this point become too sick to carry on. And as you're looking at Katrina and at Maisie, they seem to be holding it together pretty well. You see Maisie still has like the same complexion, limping, still because of the leg injury. Definitely a constant look of pain on her face, but you also see Katrina, who seems to be powering through from just stubbornness at this point. You see kind of pale, almost like green and gray tones to the face, just the sick feeling. She's holding on, but you definitely see a whole complexion change, and the area around the wound she's just treating very tenderly. It's not able to be touched. You also see the body laying on the ground in here, but with that roll, you also see the levers that control the changing of the tracks have been intentionally damaged.
Okay. So this has been sabotaged. Are there any, like, is there any paperwork or anything like that on a table or desks or anything like that?
There is. It mostly just looks like various schedules. You also see there is probably that same map that I sent you guys. There's something like that on the wall as well, showing different rail lines and everything like that. I will say also at this point, Jesse, you hear the sound of 2 horses approaching outside, and as you're turning to look, Gabriel actually comes in and shuts the door and points, and all of you can look out and you see 2 horses with riders coming up toward the area, and he just kind of motions for everybody to get down. He pulls his rifle out and he looks to you and he says, "How are we handling this?"
I'm gonna pull out my gun, just like he would, and cock it, because if there's trouble, I'm gonna fight back.
Okay, yeah. So he kind of motions for you to duck down. You hear the people riding up. It doesn't look like they're trying to hide their approach or anything as they're riding up. You hear them dismount their horses and they actually walk over to the stables to put them away. And there is a moment of silence, and then you hear the doorknob being grabbed and turned,